Welcome back to the Nerdrotic podcast. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And down south in San Diego is my good friend, my pal, my soulmate, Dennis Bethalkis. What is up, Dennis?
Nothing much. What's going on, work wife?
Just working, bringing home the bacon, frying it up in a pan. So I never want to go this long without podcasting again. This was too long. It was almost a week. I was starting to get withdrawals, it's like it was
Jitters.
bad. Jitters, itching, irritable,
Hair in places you've never had hair before.
Well, no, I'm in my 40s. That's already happened.
That's how much your nose, your back.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. That's not a good way to start a podcast. Hi, everybody. How's it going in the chat? This is where you kind of take over our podcast, hopefully, because our content's a little light tonight. We're just talking about the 18th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just kind of flew under the radar, not controversial at all. A little movie called Black Panther. Dennis saw it Thursday. I was supposed to see it Thursday. We were supposed to podcast Friday night, but there was a miscommunication with my good friend who buys the tickets, and it's all cool. I mean, he goes out and gets the tickets for us, and the whole family goes, and we have a great time. And I had a great time at Black Panther. I thought it was pretty good. That's the short spoiler-free review. From this point on, it's going to be full of spoilers, by the way. So, I don't know. What did you think of Black Panther, Dennis?
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was I think my expectations were too high for it, to tell you the truth, because I kept seeing all these reviews saying it's, a game changer, revolutionary, all this kind of stuff. And I kind of watched them like, it was all right. So it wasn't anything that kind of, knocked my socks off.
Yeah, there was a lot of hyperbole around this, and there are a lot of reasons for that. But we're just going to talk about on the merits of it being a superhero film with a guy in a costume kicking some ass. I guess the gripe that there wasn't enough action, I don't agree with that. I don't think it was really that slow. Some people were, a friend of mine who was with me said it was kind of slow and kind of meh. I disagree. I found it to be the most comic book movie, almost. I mean, next to Thor Ragnarok, which went, turned it up to 11 as far as comic book is concerned. Yeah. But I mean, Armored Rhinos is pretty comic book. Hidden Cities is pretty comic book, and I love that. That's the MCU.
Before we go deep into it, just so you know, we are going to be doing spoilers on this. So if you haven't watched the movie, if you aren't interested in knowing any specifics about it, leave now, and you can always come back later after you've seen it and just watch our video later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I did mention spoilers. So we are going to spoil the hell out of this movie, right down to the end credit scenes, which we can get into because they're kind of pointless at this point. That they were not the best. But as far as the movie's concerned, again, I would put it in the upper tier of Marvel movies. Not better than the Avengers or Captain America, Winter Soldier, or Guardians of the Galaxy. And I know Guardians isn't everybody's cup of tea. I know some people think it's the greatest Marvel movie, and some people don't like it. And I kind of get that. Not really though. I love Guardians, but it certainly was one of the better origin stories. I'm just thinking the placement in it wasn't, I don't think they did it. I know why they wanted to release it in February. I understand that, but there's Februarys and other years that you could have released it. I think this would have been better suited, released after Infinity War, to kind of set the stage for phase 4. If they're even going to call it a phase 4, because right now, all you have is Captain Marvel to set up phase 4, and that's not a movie I'm really excited about at all, to be honest with you. The character, I've been a Miss Marvel fan. She's just not the best character in the Marvel universe. She's pretty bland.
See, I'm kind of confused. Did this take place before Civil War? This in the timeline? That's what it looks like to me. It takes place after Civil War because, and Stinger aside. Is it after Civil War? Okay.
Yeah, because his dad dies in Civil War, so he gets the kingship, and it takes place before Infinity War, which it had.
I'm sorry, I meant in between, like him going and fighting in Civil War with the costume people, because remember he leaves, goes back to Wakanda at some point in Civil War. Does it take place within Civil War? I should have said.
No, it takes place after Civil War because
Okay.
he goes back to United Nations and all that. We'll get into that. We're not going to break down the movie, like we do a TV show. I can't take
Yeah.
notes in the dark, and if you've seen it, you've seen it. So we're going to talk about that, and it's not going to be the whole podcast either. We also do the news after this podcast. So if you want to dip out after our review, I totally understand. But we talk about anything and everything on this podcast. And chat, we will get to you in just a moment. We don't want to get too far behind there, but yeah, I 7 to 7.5 out of 10. I mean, that's pretty good. Like I said, it's better than I think it's better than Thor. It's the first Thor, actually both Dark World too, way better than Dark World, but better than the Thor origin. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. The family had a lot of fun. My Logan loved it. And he's always my gauge. He's a 12-year-old boy. So, he's your kind of your target audience for these superhero movies. And he came out of there going, that was awesome. So, that's my gauge. And if you've succeeded or not, if he starts getting bored and, moving around a lot, then you haven't succeeded. He was locked in the whole time. So, and I didn't find it to be politically heavy-handed at all, to be honest with you. I mean, there's some stuff in there, but it wasn't at all. It was just a superhero movie, and done on the merits of a superhero movie, and done well. Now, was the CGI perfect? No, certainly not. And you could tell.
I can tell you which houses did which ones, because the big house that was in there, the one that was in the very first beginning of the credits there, they were the ones who did the whole scene of him dropping out of the plane to go and fight the poacher, or not the poachers, but the kidnappers and all that kind of stuff. They did all the pretty shots, all the money shots. The stuff that happened at the end, the big fight scene, that was just everyone else thrown in. And good God, that was some pretty bad CGI.
Yeah, and if you don't know what we're talking about, they farm out the CGI to different houses. They have Lucasfilm, or not Lucasfilm, but why am I blanking on the name now?
Well, there's Rhythm and Hughes used to be it. So this was the offshoot of Rhythm and Hughes, and I can't remember what the name of their house is.
No, ILM. Yeah, well, it does all the main stuff, and it used to be, remember, you could tell the difference between like the orphanage and ILM.
Yeah.
And the orphanage would do better. They would always do better, but they just couldn't handle their money. They were having too much of a party. And actually, Iron Man 2 was like their last movie before they went out. But yeah, they farm it out to different houses because they have to, just to get it out in time. Otherwise, these movies would come out like once every 5 years. So, and we don't expect it to be perfect all the time. So it's cool. It just, I don't like it when it looks rubbery. You know what I mean? When like when they're moving around,
stretching and kind of bouncing around. Like,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
Frame rates change. It gets a little weird. And I know you're not a fan of the shaky cam. There was a lot of shaky cam, a lot of close-ups to hide stuff.
The fight scenes for me were also it started reminding me of the first Batman Begins, Nolan Batman, where everything was really close up and you couldn't see anything. And I'm like, dude, did you not watch Batman Begins? How bad those fight scenes were? Pull the camera back.
What they did a good job of, though, is setting up the world of Wakanda.
Yes,
now this is this is kind of Christopher Priest's Wakanda with Reggie Hudlin's, mostly Reggie Hudlin's Wakanda. And Wakanda has changed many times. So when people get blown away that there's this, city, it's always been there. It's been in the comics for years, okay, but it's changed. It used to be just kind of a normal country. They've made it into kind of like Atlan. It's kind of the same thing, which is fine. In the MCU, it totally works. That's why we love the MCU. It's this fantasy world. Okay. So it doesn't need to be grounded. I hate the grounded comic book thing. I like it when you go full comic book. I really do. Cause I love comic books. So the Wakandan history and costume. Yeah. Costume's a big deal with me. Okay. And they got that spot on. I mean, that costume was freaking bitching. And the history of Wakanda, how they dealt with that in the credits, the animated scene was really cool. And yeah, and again, the politics of the tribes, and and what a cast, dude. I mean, like, they didn't say no to anybody on this one. It was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, I did not believe how many people would be in this. And I loved when they started out in Oakland, and in the theater that got such a killer reaction when it said Oakland 92. Everybody went, whoa, because I'm seeing it in San Francisco. So it got a great reaction.
In San Diego, believe it or not.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we had people like, screaming out. It's like, okay, we got some people from Oakland here.
Yeah, that was cool. They that was definitely, I loved how that whole thing was built up. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with the movie. It was very James Bond, which I thought was a really interesting way to go with it. And again, nothing is perfect and nothing is free of criticism. Yeah, so the people coming out, everybody's has a right to their opinion. Okay. And that's totally cool. And I'm not gonna bash any fans. If any fan comes out and says this is their favorite MCU movie, rock on. I mean, because fans have so many different opinions anyway, and they're genuine. Okay. I'm pointing a finger at the entertainment media, which is the reason YouTube channels are growing at an alarming rate, because of their disingenuousness and their dishonesty and their lack of research. And just how many times did I see that this is the first black superhero? And I know this is almost a trope at this point, like so many people have said it on YouTube channels, but like, I mean, I saw it like about 7 times yesterday, somebody coming out and saying that. It's like, whoa, okay, like, whoa.
What about Blade?
Now they were talking in the reference of film. Yeah, and Blade, come on. And Blade's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that movie in the theater 3 times.
Yeah, me too. My favorite Blade story, real quick. Got married on Halloween in 2003, was in Las Vegas, and we just did like an 8-minute wedding, and then we did a 2-day bachelor/bachelorette party afterwards, where everybody from the wedding just came, and we went and hit the clubs and went crazy. So we went to one club, and they were doing a Halloween party, and they had porn stars passing out DVDs and stuff. And in the background, we had the DJ playing the song that was in the beginning of Blade while they're playing Blade in the background. And it was the actual DJ from the song, from the movie doing it, which was so rad. And they had like blood drinks going on, and we just like walked in. It was dope, man. It was really fun. So and I'm sitting there watching the movie. I'm not paying attention to what's going on in the club or anything. I'm like sitting there watching the first part. I watch the rest of Blade, because they cut it off after the Tracy Lord scene. I was like, man, I want to watch the rest. But that opening
was one of the best openings in movies, man. That's
shit. Seriously. That's how then that's what started the MCU. It was that, X-Men. Blade was the test movie. Was like, can we do this? A little movie called Men in Black was actually a Marvel movie too. And then there was X-Men, and then there was Spider-Man. And that's when it blew up. So, and Avi Arad has a lot to do with that. He kind of trained Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige became better than him. The student became better than the master. And
surpassed the master. Yes,
dude's a genius. I hope Disney like locks this guy down forever, because he's done the impossible. 18 movies into a continuous series. Although this movie had like little to nothing to do with the Marvel universe. A couple of references, a couple of crossover characters. It was really cool that Golem got to have a scene with Frodo. I thought that was really fun. One of my favorite things, and one of the biggest disappointments in this movie, was the death of why am I blanking on his name?
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis's character. Sorry, I'm getting old. Claw. So Ulysses S. Claw. Sorry. He was great. He was freaking awesome.
Yeah, he was.
He was up his role. He was stealing screen. He was chewing up the screen.
My favorite scene for him is when he's in the interrogation. He's singing "Don't Hurt Me, Don't Hurt Me No More."
Yep.
I don't know why, but it just made me laugh, and I'm just like, "Wow, okay, the balls on this guy to just sit there and start singing this song."
the MCU needs, like, he's a lethal weapon bad guy. You know, that's
Yeah.
what he is, and he would have been brilliant. How could you freaking kill him? So if they do some time gem craziness, they need to bring back both. Well, Killmonger and Ulysses S. Claw. I liked them.
Yeah.
I liked them both. Claw was better. Killmonger. Okay, Michael B. Jordan, great actor. Was not. People were talking Heath Ledger. I'm wearing his shirt right now. No, no. And it wasn't that he did a bad job. Is like he's not in the movie that much. If you count his scenes are as follows: he robs the museum, breaks out Ulysses S. Claw, gets to Wakanda, um, becomes king pretty quick, and dies. I mean, it's like they gave him a great backstory that they needed to like kind of show more of. I would like to have seen like him in Afghanistan making a kill or two. Also, we're going on the word that like he killed hundreds of people and he scarred himself, which was a cool idea, but you need to show that. You can't just like tell us and everybody's just going to believe him. They made him into an incredible badass, but I would like to have seen more. And then I would like for him to have survived somehow. And I'm sure they can bring him back somehow, but
I
it's
would
the
have
comic.
liked to have seen him, somehow exiled or something like that. Basically, you have this other usurper to the throne kind of thing, which you could bring back for a sequel, or at least have him and Claw again working together, like you were saying, having both of them alive. They kind of went the Batman route on this one, where you just kill off your villains.
Yeah, it always frustrated me about the Batman movies. I was like, don't kill your villains. I mean, like, okay, his death, the scene was cool. Okay, it was it was impactful, it was emotional. He got off a pretty badass line, like throw me into the ocean, because I'd rather die than live in bondage. That was heavy line, man. For a comic book movie, that was a heavy line, but it was impactful. Okay. So I think they wanted to lead to that and they just couldn't let it go. And there's always a way you can bring him back. Okay. They buried him in the ground and like they accidentally buried him with one of the little panther flowers or whatever the hell it was. And he comes back to life that way. There's always a way. It's comic books.
He has the panther potion in him. So maybe he regenerates or something like that. And
yeah. Oh yeah. See, there you go. Do you want to before we go on? You want to get to some comments here, Dennis? Let's let the people chime in. Let's hear from the people.
Yes. So let's see here. Scrolling back up a little bit here. Ghost World says no. I think the political heavy-handedness, and by the way, Ghost World has not seen the movie yet. So,
sorry, Ghost World.
I think the political heavy-handedness and racial slants came from the media, and after the movie was already made.
Yes, it did. That's who I'm pointing the finger at. Actually, Disney's kind of guilty of this too. Guilty of marketing. This was all to make money. Okay, so you get people talking, you stir the pot a little bit, you get people talking, and they're talking about your movie, and there's no such thing as bad press. And if anybody thinks that, and I know our audience doesn't think, they're very smart people. If anybody thinks beyond the fact that Disney is all about green, that's the only color they're about. It's no other color. They're a big business. They're a big international business. And they want to make as much money as possible. And if it means stirring the pot, which honestly is, it's kind of dangerous marketing. It is. It's dangerous for your film, for backlash. And there's actual, if you stir up a couple of crazy people, listen, there was for the first time in my life, there was a security guard sitting in our theater the whole time. Like a wow. Uniformed security guard. I never seen that in any movie before. So I thought that was kind of odd. I know they have security guards in movie theaters now since the whole Batman thing, but I've never had a noticeable one sitting in my theater the whole time. Yeah, we're a big city here and big city things happen. But I mean, maybe honestly, it was a daily city. Okay. This wasn't like,
well, that goes that's just a normal everyday occurrence. Come on. It's daily city.
It's daily city. Right. So, yeah, I thought that was weird. That was definitely weird. But you stir the pot and shit happens. Okay. So I don't know how responsible, but they don't care about that. They just want to make money. And hey, it worked. It freaking worked. It got a lot of people talking. I think this thing's going to set like insane records. And as far as
It's
that's
already on
fine.
track for 150 million this
That's
weekend.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's way more deserving than so many other movies that have made a lot more money. Avatar. that, so yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but on as a superhero movie, it was good. It was really good. No complaints. Was it the best superhero movie ever made? No, not in my opinion. It was not. But if you disagree,
K Sizzle says they made Atlanta look like London, Korea, Oakland, and Wakanda. Like, I love the fact that I could see my home while others thought it was theirs. Laugh out loud.
Right?
Well, actually, they did film in Korea. So that was actually Busan that they filmed in. They did film a little bit in Oakland. I know that too. They did film in London. And yes, the majority of it took place in Atlanta. But yeah, they did film a little bit in each of those places.
I really like that scene at the end where after Wakanda kind of comes out, and then T'Challa takes his sister to Oakland, and they bought some buildings, and they're going to make that the Wakanda Outreach Center. And it made me think, like, Disney could really do that. They could go and buy 3 or 4 buildings and make it an outreach center of some kind. Do something good with it. Use your imagination, and helped. There's ton, especially in Oakland. It's still a huge problem with blighted buildings. And I think that would, if you really want to make a sentiment out there, put your money where your mouth is. Don't talk about it all day long in a superhero movie. Maybe do something. I don't know, just a thought. Oakland could use the help. It's a city. It's going through a little boom right now, which is good. It deserves that. But it's a city that's gone through some hard times. They're losing their football team. I mean, that's not cool at all. Even though I hate the Raiders, but I mean, they suck, but I don't want them to leave. Sorry, Raider fans. I'm a Charger fan.
Davis Schmeiden says Dennis, I think, says takes the trophy, not rakes the trophy. Killmonger is a Panther, just mirrors what happened to T'Challa. He can get better.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. T'Challa came back to life essentially. So yeah, and I hope so. I don't. He was too good. Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't have the greatest villains in the world. Everybody knows that. And I thought we had 2 of them in one movie, 2 really good ones. And the other 2 great ones, of course, are Kilgrave from Jessica Jones, and of course Kingpin from Daredevil, who was my favorite.
I want to go. I just want to say right now, Cheery, the woman who played Cheery, his sister, awesome. She was just freaking awesome. She was actually probably one of my favorite characters. My favorite character, believe it or not, was the Mountain King.
He was good.
Yeah, he was my favorite just because he was just screwing with everybody. No matter what chance he got, he could do it, and it was just really damn funny. And he was also that whole thing you keep talking about, this honor and all this kind of stuff that they keep talking about in the movie. He actually had, and it was like cool, to actually see a character, who you think is going to be a villain at some point. It's like, nope, it's got the most honor out of everybody.
Yeah,
it's really kind of cool.
Yeah, there was tons of depth in this. Now, what I was afraid this was going to be because of the hyperbole from the press. It was just going to be a big virtue signal. I think there was a lot of people thought it was going to be. There was so much it was just a regular movie. See, that's why I should not listen to the press but there was so much of it. It was hard not to listen to it and read it, and I really tried to stay away, but it was everywhere. No, he was great. His little sister, who was really good. She was the Q. Her little gadgets were awesome. I love how it's all based on vibranium, and we don't need to know the GD science of it. It's a freaking comic book movie. It just works. Okay, cool. Yep. No problem. And also Martin Freeman's character, who I thought would just play this bumbling idiot, basically was the Felix Leiter in this whole thing. And, he turned out to be pretty cool. And we rarely get like a federal or a government worker playing a good guy in any movie these days. So that's kind of a nice twist
So,
too.
do you think that whole do you think it was an Easter egg for them saying that he was a pilot in the 90s to kind of tie this to the Miss Marvel movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything's planned, and he'll probably have worked with her. There'll probably be a younger version of him at some
Yeah.
point in the movie to kind of tie things in. Um,
That's what I
you know,
think that whole character was there for. That was their Marvel tie-in, if you will, to the bigger MCU.
did they explain? Okay, so there's no soul gem in this, but we know it's probably around it somewhere. Well, because we see Wakanda in Infinity War, and so there's got to be some reason they go there.
Yeah.
Um, do you think the
Well,
soul gem is there, and they just decided not to mention it?
I think the soul gem is actually in the soil, because remember they were talking about how the meteorite crash, and that's where the vibranium is, and that it imbued the land with all kinds of powers. One of them being the flowers that give the Black Panther the power, and I think that's what it is. Is there he's ingesting a part of the soul gem.
And the soul gem was maybe like in the middle of the meteor or something like
Yes,
that,
yeah.
maybe when it crashed, and they're going to go and find that out.
I think
Uh,
Wakanda's going to get screwed up in this.
yeah. Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
you know what? It makes me really excited for the Wakanda scenes in Infinity War. Now
yeah,
I'm like, oh, see, now it's good. That's important because that's why it was important that this movie kind of stand on its own. And not everything has to tie into Infinity War. They can tell the story in Infinity War. Here's Infinity War. Thanos is coming down to get some stuff, and we need some guys to fight him. Let's get together. Okay, that's like 15 minutes.
yeah.
And then I want the rest to be ass kicking. I don't need a ton of story. I just need like Thanos is coming. Let's get some people together and kick some ass or lose. They're
Well,
basically
it's just
going to
going to be
lose this one.
Thanos showing up and like ripping the hell out of everything to get what he wants, and then they're going to go, "Oh crap, we need to actually band together to fight him," and that's what they're going to be. Is they're going to get there and beat the crap out of them or get the crap beat out of them for the next hour and a half or something like that.
See, and to make Thanos like bad, you can't just say he's bad. You got one of the bad things about him is he takes young women, little girls, and mutilates them into warriors. They need, they don't need to show that too much, but if you want a level of just like making this guy like evil, because you don't want to like this big bad guy who just kicks ass, because everybody's probably start rooting for him at some point. You
Well,
got to give him a layer of badness.
you had that with Nebula. I mean, Nebula
Yeah,
and Guardians
they
of the
need to,
Galaxy
and they've
too.
talked about it a lot, but maybe he comes after, one of T'Challa's sisters or something like that and does something really evil and bad. Yeah, because I like to hate my bad guys. It's just a thing. I
Yeah,
don't want
he's
to
probably
root
going
for
to
him.
kill his girlfriend, is what I'm thinking.
Oh, that would not be good.
Mm-hmm.
It would be
I'm
very
pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
sad. K
I'm just
Sizzle says 9 out of 10. You said 9 out of 10 for Black Panther. There you go.
Yeah, there's
It was
been
it was
8
a
out of 10,
solid
9 out of
movie.
10s for
It was a
people.
solid movie.
For me,
I'm definitely going to see it again.
and someone said, I forget who it was, that here we go. Dante S said this movie left a better taste in my mouth than Star Wars. That's for sure.
Hell, oh my God, that is not even comparable. This was a movie. Star Wars was not.
Yeah.
This did everything right compared to that. Yeah, that's a low bar though. Yeah, I guess for me personally, the best sign of a good movie is a movie I want to see again. Like you could still be a good movie that I saw once, but I'm cool not seeing it ever again. Like Logan. Well, Logan's the exception. Logan's a great movie that I just don't want to see again because it's too damn depressing.
It's depressing.
But Logan and I are gonna go back Sunday to check this movie out. And I'm glad I saw it in 2D. I heard the 3D wasn't so good. I don't know if anybody else out there saw it in 3D. What'd you think? I heard bad things about the 3D. But that's not,
3D movies. Yeah.
that's not the filmmaker's fault because they do that in post, and they should just stop. And if you're gonna make a 3D movie, make a 3D movie. Like
Sam
Raimi Avatar. Like, yeah.
Sam
Exactly.
Raimi, he actually went and studied. He went back to school to find out about 3D so he could make that The Great and Powerful Oz. Granted, the movie sucked a bit, but the 3D was awesome that he did. Doug Johnson says, is Ryan Coogler a Bay Area guy? He did Fruitvale Station and now featured Oakland and Black Panther. Yes, he is a Bay
Yeah.
Area guy.
Yep. Fruitvale. Ooh, that was rough.
Yeah.
That was bad times in the Bay Area. Let me tell you, not fun place to be. And he also did Creed, right? Which
yes, he did, which is actually a decent
movie.
Rocky
movie. Yeah, I like that movie a lot. Better than Rocky 5 for sure. No, it's a good movie. Rocky 5 was... and they're going to do another one, so I can't wait. So y'all think we're going to get a Black Panther 2 out of this? I think that's kind of a done deal, right? Like there's no way we cannot have another Black Panther after,
$150 million. Yeah, first weekend. Yeah.
I heard some guy saying that I won't name him, like, I don't think we're going to get a sequel of this. Oh, you are effing crazy. Not get a sequel. We're going to get 3 minimum. And he's going to be Chadwick Boseman is so good in this role. Again, I was afraid he was good in Civil War, but I didn't see a ton of him. Okay. So I was like, oh man, is he just going to be this flat actor who's just kind of blandly competent? And no, he was really, really good. Like he's at Chris Evans level with Captain America, who I did not think, I thought he would kind of pull off Cap, but not as well as he has. You can actually he can be the new leader of the Avengers at this point. I'm totally okay with Black Panther leading the Avengers. Although Falcon could do it too. That guy's pretty good too. But if you want to have if they kill Cap, which I hope they don't, but if they kill Cap, I think Black Panther could be your new Cap. And I've always seen him as an Avenger, so that's how I've most of my experience with him in comic books is reading him in the Avengers.
I really loved the speech that he gave to the UN at the end there.
Yeah,
that was actually really good.
Yeah, we need more speeches like that.
Yeah, exactly. It hit all the right notes.
Yeah, it was very hopeful. Yeah, I mean, it's a Disney movie. Come on, let's be real. But I came out of the movie feeling good, was happy, was energized, and just happy it wasn't like this mess of overhanded politics and divisive, and it wasn't. It was a very, very good, cool, fun superhero movie. I know, I don't know anybody who's I know nobody's come out and said, except that one Irish guy who wrote the quote unquote bad review, which really wasn't. It was more like, I just needed him fighting more bad guys. That was the worst part of his. If you actually go and read it, it's basically him saying it's kind of boring. I disagree, but it wasn't a bad review. I don't know if anybody's given a bad review. I haven't heard one yet. Even from the people I trust. There's some YouTubers out there who I really trust, and they've given it a good review. So, and hopefully you trust us. I kind of do sometimes.
Rural Rain 10,000 says, so when Killmonger was brought in as a prisoner, why did they wait until someone asked who he was to explain he was royalty? He had the blue tattoo as proof. No, the blue tattoo just shows that you're a resident of Wakanda. That's pretty much all that is. It doesn't mean that you're royalty. It just means you belonged in Wakanda.
Yeah, the ring proved that he was royalty. And, like I said, Michael B. Jordan wasn't in the movie, and they needed to give a little more depth to that. That was one of my criticisms is I would like to have seen, it would have made the movie longer, but there's actually a couple scenes you could have taken out and inserted him a little more Michael B. Jordan. And maybe they have filmed it. Maybe it'll be on the Blu-ray. Marvel's not big on doing extended editions, but maybe on this one they will. I would have liked to have seen more of that because he was pretty good, but you can't put him at Heath Ledger level. That's hyperbole right there, because he just wasn't in it enough. You know?
I mean, they had to explain what he was doing with who was the CIA guy again?
Frodo.
Frodo, yeah. Well,
Agent Frodo.
So basically he had to explain what Killmonger was actually doing to be the bad guy, that he was coming in to basically that's what they trained him to do, was to go into nations, wipe out everything, and destabilize the nation to take over, or basically to destroy the nation from within. I was like, oh, okay, so that's what he's doing.
But they did a lot of explaining, which is fine. But if you, I mean, just throw in like, honestly, 30 seconds, just 30 seconds while you're explaining it. Give me a little montage of him being just this gnarly soldier, so I can just see it. And maybe they
Ross,
did
thank
shoot
you.
that and they felt like it didn't work, but yeah, Agent Ross, thank you. Who said that? Thank you very
David
much.
Schmieden.
Hello, David. Agent Ross, Agent Frodo Baggins. So yeah, 7.5. Maybe it might move to an 8 for me on Sunday.
It was
Now that I talk about it more, I think I probably enjoyed it more than I thought I did. But yeah, solid movie with a great supporting cast. Like you said, the little sister was good. Michonne was awesome.
Denai Garrica. Yeah, she was awesome in that. She
has
just
very
the facial
broad
expressions.
shoulders. She has very broad shoulders.
When she had that wig on too, it was pretty funny.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
No, okay, so I'm sorry. What's Michonne's name again in real life?
Denai Garrica.
Okay, so her and Andy Serkis both do one thing that, like, it's my favorite thing about Heath Ledger did this. It's I think they're both kind of method actors, and they act right down to their pores. Like, they think about how somebody blinks, and they're really, like you said, facial expressions. A lot of actors don't work on the craft of facial expressions, and it really does come off when Andy Serkis is a great actor. Okay, when somebody he is just a great actor. He should be in so much more. If he can pull off like a CG, ape, and a little golem and make there's something behind when he does something. It's him and Doug Jones too. Doug Jones is like this too. There's like a soul behind there. So they both do like this great job of just, getting the emotion across. You believe them, and seeing Michonne in something else and kicking ass is kind of cool too. I like her.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought the whole thing with what was it? There was one scene where she just gives this one facial expression. I think it was right before they entered the bar in Korea.
No, she gives the best facial expression when her boyfriend, the guy from Get Out, was when they were both when Michael when Killmonger became king, and they're kind of disagreeing over the whole open taking over the world. Basically, they're talking about taking over the world, and she's like, "That's not what we do," and he's all, "Well, times change," and he gave her a look, and my wife started cracking up. She's all, "That's the look I give you." I'm all, "You should recognize that." I'm all, "What?" I don't know what you're talking about. But no, yeah, that little just sideways look, like, "What'd you say?" Yeah, she's good at that. Yeah, and it really helps to have like this awesome cast that they had. Like, they had no trouble getting like A-listers everywhere, and I'm sure a bunch of these people just wanted to be a part of it, and probably worked for nothing. And also the sets and the costumes were pretty top notch. Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. I love how Marvel has like brought color into their universe now, and and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, definitely. Like I said, I love that they're turning it up to 11 on comic book. That will never be bad to me. You get your costumes in there, you have a lot of fighting, and we get the plus of a pretty good story. So there you go.
Speaking of stories, I wanted to impart this one that I just heard yesterday, which I thought was pretty funny. It was about Jack Kirby, because he was the artist for this. And he was told by the editors of the comic when he was drawing Black Panther that they need more white guys in the comic. He needs to add more white people in the comic. So the next issue had Black Panther beating up a whole bunch of KKK people.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, did I read that? I thought I read all of that. I'm going to have to go back. I've got them downstairs. I'll have to dig it out. It's probably been years.
It just made me laugh. I was just like, that sounds exactly what Kirby would do, just to kind of just share with people. Yeah.
I always wondered, there's that story that he and Joe Simon walked out and after, I think it's BS. I don't know if it's true or not, but they on their way back from creating Cap, they walked through a neo-Nazi rally in New York, which they did happen back then
Yeah.
quite often. But yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. But that's a story I've heard for many a year, even when I was owning a comic store.
Wait, that's what kind of made got them to create Cap, or
No,
that
it was
before
after they created Cap. I think they even mentioned it on the History of Comics, that history special. That was really good, by the way. Came out like
And
a
they just-
decade ago.
They just walk through it, or
Who sort of wants Swamp Thing? You just lost you there, Dennis. Your connection's kind of messing up here.
oh, I think actually you're getting a little slow on some things. You might want to close a window or two if you've got a chance.
Closed. There we go.
Okay.
All right, you gonna? How is it now?
Better. There we go.
Better.
Yes.
Sorry, we're checking our connection here. Has it been okay?
Yeah, it's been every now and then it would slow down and it would speed back up, but
Okay,
it just slowed down for a second. So,
I'm looking at our stream. It says it's good. The current frame rate is too high, and it always says that. Nothing I can do about it. It's the internet. It's your frame rate, YouTube. All right, so yeah, let's get to the chat. Let's see what the chat's saying.
Ghost World says, at Dennis, what do you think now that that this style of movie can work with that? What individual character for Marvel do you want to see with their own standalone movie?
That's left.
That's, honestly, to tell you the truth, and I want to see it done right. And I said this before in one of our podcasts. I want to see Howard the Duck. I want to see like a hard-boiled detective Howard the Duck, to tell you the truth, like a Raymond Chandler-esque. I don't know.
That would be kind of awesome to be like a hard R. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you know what? Yeah, make it a hard R, like a Fritz the Cat-ish kind of thing, and get some Pixar guys to work on it, but not official Pixar movie. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, Seth Green to voice him.
I know Ghost World. Oh yeah, he was awesome for the voice that we saw. Yeah, that was awesome. Ghost World says he wants Swamp Thing or Black Widow.
Well, Swamp Thing's DC, but I want a Swamp Thing character for sure. I want I want a Midnight Suns. So it's like Marvel's Justice League Dark. So if we get you bring back Blade, Ghost Rider, Brother Voodoo, the Man Thing, Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
And I think that would be Son of Satan. Yeah. Oh, how can I forget Son of Satan? Yeah. Son of Satan. That would be Bat versus Mephisto. Yeah, dude, take my money. I would just throw money at that thing. What was that?
And She-Hulk. It makes
throw
She-Hulk
a regular. Throw a regular hero in there. Yeah, that's for sure. That would be fun. Yeah, or Hercules or somebody like that.
David Schmeiden said the story was Kirby heard the Nazis were downstairs from the office and either went down or threatened to go down and kick their asses. Which sounds like about right. Yeah, that sounds like him.
Kirby is an auto mechanic who just happened to be an artist.
Yeah, he was in the war, World War II, and he was drawing. And if you ever get a chance to, there's books out there on his artwork that he drew while he's, basically out in the field with his gun and all these guys. And when they had a chance to camp, he would draw. And he did drawings of his neighborhood. And he did detailed drawings of New York City, but kind of cartoonish in a way. And just tons of detail in these drawings. And they're the most beautiful thing you'll ever see.
Yeah, I've seen some of those sketches. They're amazing. And yeah, apparently he drew like towns for recon.
Yep.
In World War II. That's badass.
Yeah.
I'm up there sketching, while Nazis are running around trying to find you and kill you, and you're drawing for your country. Freaking World War II. That's crazy. My friend Jay, who was supposed to join us, he'll be joining us in the future. He is from a channel that just started out called Films In. I think they have like 16 subscribers. Check him out. He is a old friend of mine. We used to work in the warehouse together. And the reason I'm podcasting now and honed all these talking skills about movies was Jay and I used to do this. We'd get to movie. Well, back in the day when you couldn't pick out your seat, you'd have to get to a movie like 2 to 3 hours early. And this was pretty much every Friday night, back in the 90s. And we just talk like this for 3 hours. And it was actually more entertaining than the movie at a lot of times. So he will be joining us in the future. I want to get him on here because he's awesome. Jay is awesome. He said he loved it. He just got out of Black Panther, pure entertainment. I'll have to digest it more to figure out what makes this movie work.
Nice.
Probably good directing and acting. That would be my first thought.
Dante S says, who should the Black Panther 2 villain be? He goes, I don't think Kraven would look all that great on screen. Namor the Submariner would be great.
Oh, Namor. Oh, that would be pretty good. Have like Atlantis, like a war between Wakanda and Atlantis. Hell
Actually,
yeah.
RoboBrain 10,000 says, I want to see Dr. Doom as a villain. Latveria versus Wakanda.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How about super villain team up versus Black Panther? Okay, Dr. Doom and Namor versus Black Panther. There you go.
Yeah.
And Captain America. Screw it. Throw Cap in there. That would be I would die of joy. That would be so. But you got to save. I love Kraven is my favorite Spider-Man villain, and you need to save him for Spider-Man. Okay, you could bring him in later because I think he does actually work as a Black Panther villain for obvious reasons. But Kraven is he's a great villain. He's one of the most unsung villains of Spider-Man. He's got the most depth, and Kraven's Last Hunt's the best Spider-Man story ever. And you have to have a Kraven story to get to Kraven's Last Hunt, which I would love to see an animated version done right or something of that, because that's my all-time favorite story. So,
there's actually a storyline about Cheery taking over his sister, taking over the mantle of Wakanda. I think that would actually make a really good Black Panther.
Oh, they teased that. They're gonna definitely do that. They teased that, and there's no reason why you can't have 2 Black Panthers. And she's the tech wizard anyway. And I could definitely see, if they go Dark Knight level with the sequel, because I think they're going to amp it up for the sequel. I think they're going to make it a little bit, not say, okay, this movie, when I use the word sophisticated, I don't mean it in a bad way, but they make it more of a Dark Knight level as opposed to Batman Begins. So I think kind of like Winter Soldier was to the Captain America First Avenger. Those are 2 completely different movies. Yeah. I enjoy them both. But one's very comic book and the other one's a whole nother level.
Super spy thriller. Yes.
Yeah.
I was just watching it actually before we
should have been nominated for Best Picture. I mean, that's such a joke that it's not. I think they can do that with Black Panther and bring her in. And I'm a fan of bringing in other superheroes too. They usually do that with sequels. So I don't know what MCU, Black Widow, Hawkeye, or bring Winter Soldier back.
Well, we did at the very end of the movie, we did have the stinger. Where and this is the other thing too, is they already teased it kind of in the middle when they bring in Agent Ross and with the bullet wound to the spine, and Cheery goes, "Oh, great, another broken white boy to fix."
Another broken white boy,
which was pretty different. She actually had some of the best lines, when she calls him colonizer later on.
I know, that's funny. he's a what?
So then later on, the very end of the credits, we see these kids and they're just standing over somebody and they're watching, like, get away from him. Stop playing with the white boy.
The white wolf.
The white wolf, yes. And of course, out comes Bucky. And Bucky's been healed now completely, mind and body. And she goes, how are you feeling? And he's like, I feel really good. And but he just wants to get back into the world.
I mean, I like the beginning of the stinger, but that delivery was just like, what? Okay, so he's cool. He just says, thank you. I mean, that was our stinger. He said, thank you. Like, put a metal arm on, show some, give me, okay, I'm going to dig deep here. Give me a Red Sky. If somebody knows what a Red Sky crossover is, you are a true comic book fan. Okay. So give me a Red Sky to show that like Thanos is coming or something like that. Real quick, Red Sky crossover is from Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it was the first ridiculous multi-issue crossover in the DC universe, and they considered issues actual canon in that crossover if the sky was red. That was the only inference to the Crisis on Infinite Earths, was there was a red sky in a couple panels. That's a red sky crossover. So yeah, if they would have just done something like that, like Thanos incoming, that would have been a good stinger. And I wouldn't have taken away from the movie. I know I've already heard the arguments like they wanted this movie to stand on its own. You know what? When it ends and the credits are starting, it is stood on its own, or it hasn't. The stinger will not. The stinger won't hurt a movie. The worst. These are the two. I mean, the speech he gave for a stinger, that should have just been in the movie. That was just another part of the movie. Stingers are supposed to be your tease for the Marvel universe. And if you want to just do one, that's fine. They started doing two, but if they're two and they really don't mean it, I mean, we knew Bucky was there. Everybody, I mean, it wasn't a big surprise. I'm glad that she healed him. But was there some kind of relationship? Were they friends? It would have been nice if they like came out to be friends, or maybe something more. I don't know.
They had him out in some village someplace by the water instead of actually in Wakanda, where we might have been
helpful at some point, even without an arm. Exactly. He's still kind of a badass, But maybe he was still healing. Okay, so I don't know.
K Sizzle says Black Panther 2 villain is going to be M'Baku. I don't think so. He says Ubaka, but I think he meant M'Baku.
I think there'll be probably multiple villains, so there might be like a pre-villain and then a main villain, or I think they'll tie it more into the MCU for sure. They seem to be going that way with sequels, and I like it when they do that. I don't think they're going to be. I think Captain Marvel will be your true last like standalone superhero origin they're going to do. I think they're just going to start mixing it up. For one, they're digging kind of deep. And it's going to be a while till they can introduce the X-Men. And they got to find a good way to do that. Obviously, I think it's going to be Avengers 4, but the deal has to be done. See, Avengers 4 is done filming, and the Fox deal is not done. Actually, we're going to be we're going to be plugging this twice, but later this weekend we're going to be doing another live stream, and we're going to be talking about the coming war. Not World War III, the bigger war, which is between Silicon Valley and Hollywood. We've got some inside dope on this, and it's going to change. I'm sure everybody's been seeing it, but it's going to change things really fast. And it's a really interesting subject. So we want to talk about it. Plus, we got nothing better to do, to be honest with you.
Rubberbrain 10,000 says, can there be another Black Panther without the heart-shaped herb?
Well, one got saved, and
it was used though.
Oh, it did get used. Yeah.
I think it's actually going to grow back. Like I said, I think it's the soul gem. That was the one that created those flowers. And I think that's what's going to end up happening.
They didn't have like a backup garden somewhere, some big old greenhouse. That's what we're probably going to find out. So, we had a backup.
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of like
they had maglev trains. Yeah, right. Yeah. They've got to have a back. That couldn't have been the only place they grew them. I don't know.
Rubberbrain 10,000 says Shuri is like 16, right? And Bucky is 40. Actually, Bucky's somewhere around his 80s. So.
Yeah, Bucky's in his 80s. Does he look like he's in his 40s? He looks like mid 30s. She does look very, very young. I don't think she is though. Yeah, she might be a little young for him.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Monica Lewinsky was 19, so yeah. Sorry. There's a major age difference with that. Plus, it's the whole doctor patient thing, probably. The hypocrite oath, whatever you call it.
Hippocratic oath, yes. The hypocrite oath.
The hypocrite oath.
Smiden says, I'm afraid Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is being relegated to an alternative timeline. They're still trying to remain relevant, honestly, and I don't see how they can. Considering they're just going to be left behind.
Christ, that whole show was built on, okay, this is going to we talked, oh my God, when the Disney deal went down, I got to find this podcast. We did a podcast in my comic shop, and we, predicted some stuff really correct and some stuff really, really wrong. But we talked, then later on, we did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when that popped up. But before Agents of Shield, we talked about, wow, Disney owns ABC. They can do TV shows that can tie into these movies. They can do half-hour origin stories that lead directly into the movie. And that's what Agents of Shield was billed at, and they actually did it very well with Captain America. And then the Perlmutter Kevin Feige thing happened, and it robbed. This is why we can't have nice things. Actually, the first time we bitched about that was on a podcast that was called "This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things."
Nice things, I remember.
Yes, and you know, Perlmutter is a Bond villain. He is the last guy in the world who should own a toy company. Okay, he's like a cartoon. You know, remember back in the old cartoons where like the most evil guy would be like a candy maker or a toy maker, and it's like, you are so wrong for this job. Why do you do this? And if you look at his background, where he came from, I think it was from like Gillette or something. Like he used to like be on the board of a company that made razors or something like that. And then he bought a toy company because it was a good stock buyer, knew nothing about toys, and accidentally made one of the best toy companies ever made, which is Toy Biz. Okay. So I'll give him full credit for that. All that stuff behind me right there, that's Perlmutter's plastic right there. But the guy is like, I guess he's just a big a-hole. And Kevin Feige's not the nicest guy in the world. He comes off like he is, but you don't get that far in Hollywood by being a nice guy. Okay.
Nope. No one does.
And he won. And the problem is a producer beat a board member in a corporate battle, which never happens. And it's not, you know, Kevin Feige knows he's living on borrowed time. Unless Perlmutter dies, he's got to be watching his back at all times. Now, Iger was strong enough to get in between them and give Feige power, and Feige's power is based on the success of Marvel. And right now he looks more powerful than Perlmutter, but no. He's a board member. He runs Marvel. He is the boss of Marvel. So when these big companies buy other big companies, you still have to bring in the management, the upper management, and you have to give them a seat at the board. So that's why with the Fox deal, Rupert Murdoch and Perlmutter will be on the board of Disney together. Holy shit. Oh, that's going to be fun. Nothing's going to get done.
Bad ideas. Yeah.
Thankfully, and I don't wish death on anybody, but they've lived very long, successful lives that will be coming to an end soon because of life. And reasons. That was not a threat. That was just, that's how things, they're old. Okay. Christ.
Demonetized.
Yeah. No, we're going to get demonetized anyway. You know, I found out if you get demonetized when you say demonetized.
Really?
Nice. Yeah, there's keywords. But demonetized, I think, is one of them. I don't care. I don't care.
Dante S says Galaxy 2 villain could have been better and didn't tie in. I like Ego, but hate that they made him a Celestial.
Agreed. And I hate that they screwed up Kurt Russell and then they killed him. I mean, like, if you're going to bring Kurt Russell, well, I don't know if he can actually die. He can come back. But yeah, just the insane God thing. I was the parts of Guardians Volume 2 disappointed me. But parts of it were awesome. You know, when they killed all the Ravagers, that was dark. That was a crazy scene. I love that.
Well, also having the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that was awesome.
Freaking awesome.
But there was kind of a dead spot in the middle. And it kind of slowed down for me. It didn't feel as full. Like the first movie felt like you were in this big full universe, and even though they were going to more planets in the second one, it just didn't seem like you were in a galaxy. I don't know. There was just something off about it. I can't put my finger on it though, but yeah, it definitely wasn't as good as the first one. And yeah, that was a waste of a villain. Yeah, definitely Black Panther's villains were better than, Loki's I don't know if he's a villain anymore. Can you even call him a villain? But who's better? Like, who's after Loki? Who was a pretty, the Vulture in Homecoming was pretty good.
Yeah, the Vulture in Homecoming was good. I actually just watched it again recently, and that whole scene in the car where he's threatening when he finds out that Peter is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's got the gun out and he's talking, and I'm just like, wow, Wow, that is actually some really sinister shit right there.
Yeah, he was really good in it. But I'll tell you right now, I thought Black Panther was better than Homecoming. Way better than Homecoming. I'm
Really?
not. Yeah, way better than Homecoming.
No, see,
Yeah,
Black Panther to me
I was
is below
disappointed by
Homecoming.
Homecoming. I give that like a 6.5 out of 10. It was just, and maybe because I'm a huge fan of the Tobey Maguire stuff, and I liked Tom Holland in Civil War. I thought he was great in Civil War, but yeah, there was something I didn't. Homecoming was just okay. Black Panther was way better, in my opinion.
Huh.
Just in my opinion. But yeah, you can like, who's a better villain? Like Baron Zemo was actually a pretty good villain in Civil War, and he just outthought everybody. That's all he did. I mean, he wasn't even the smartest guy in the world. He was just the angriest guy in the world. He was the angriest guy in the world, and with nothing to lose. And he even says it in the movies, like, how do you bring down the Avengers? You just be a single man with no powers, with nothing to lose, and some resources. And yeah, so I thought Zemo was actually a pretty good villain for what he was. And the double twist on the Mandarin. I know a lot of people were upset with the Mandarin twist from Iron Man 3.
I liked it.
But if you watch that
Yeah.
Marvel one shot where he's just playing, like, where they put it in your mind that maybe he really is the Mandarin, if they would have gone with that, I'd have been okay with that. That would have been crazy.
Well, no, they went with the assumption that there really is a Mandarin out there, and that he pissed him off, and that they actually broke into that prison to take him to the real Mandarin, and that's how it ends. And you're just like, oh, okay. So
well, we're never going to see a real Mandarin, though.
No, we're not. It's yeah. There's lots of problems with it. That's all I'm going to say.
You don't need to say anymore. It's pretty. Although you could just make it an Irish guy named John Mandarin. Why not? Johnny McMandarin.
Then you have the whole issues of whitewashing again and all that. No, we can't do it.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen. Like I said, there's too many problems with it.
There is.
If you go one way, it's wrong. If you go the other way, it's wrong. It's just wrong no matter what you do.
Hey, I found out I was like, I did that 23. My wife got me the 23andMe thing for my birthday. I'm adopted, so I have no idea. I'm actually a bastard. I have no idea who my father is. In both senses of the word, actually. So my wife got me the 23andMe thing to like see if I found my mom, but I'm looking for my dad. Too much life story right there. But I found out I was like half Irish. I had no idea, which would explain all my problems with alcohol in the past. But yeah, I thought I was German, but no, I'm actually half Irish. So St. Patrick's Day now has meaning for me, even though I don't drink. But yay, go Irish. Had no idea.
Hey, actually, Roll Brain 10,000 has a good idea. Make the Mandarin an alien and do him justice. Like they did in the cartoon. Remember the 90s cartoon?
Yeah, of course I remember the 90s cartoon. I have it. I love it. I love that with his hair, the mullet Tony Stark going on there.
Oh yeah. God.
And I own every action figure from that line. That Toy Biz line was where they have 90 different versions of Iron Man and an armor he never used in the freaking cartoon. They just repainted the shit out of that. I loved all that crap. Got them for $4.99 at KB Toys when they were going out of business for 8 years. Remember, it took them like 8 years to go out of business.
Oh, you reminded me. I've actually got to go to Toys R Us tomorrow because they're getting ready to go out of business by me.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to. I'm an old man now. All those 80 points of articulation, I like my 4 points of articulation. Got to dig up my Black Panthers action figures. They're around here somewhere. I have a couple of Marvel Legends. And so, yeah, do we got any more comments on Black Panther before we get into the news?
Actually, Ghost will agrees with you that he didn't like Homecoming either.
Yeah.
So he was kind of impressed that someone else agreed with him on that. And Viking Bitch said you can wish retirement on them, meaning Perlmutter and what's his name
Yes.
from the Four.
Murdoch. Have
But
a happy retirement soon, like tomorrow.
they're not going to retire. They
No,
never do.
I think Kevin Feige will be the CEO of Disney if Iger leaves. He keeps on saying he's going to leave. First, he said he was going to run for president. Then he said he's out in a couple of years. Thing is, though, if he stays, Feige will leave because I'm guarantee you, I wouldn't be surprised at all if WB's offered him the gig already a couple times.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I would. Oh my God. If you want to get that would just be like, you know what? The greatest thing about the whole Marvel versus DC war, and people say it doesn't exist, but it does. And it's been going on for years and years. It's bled over into the movies now.
Yeah.
Where it's so insane how like the same little skirmish has turned into a big war. And yeah, that would be the biggest shot fired if they stole Kevin Feige from Marvel, went to DC. That would be great. Because like the Marvel universe has kind of run its course, and then we can get a good one. Oh my God! Keep Henry Cavill as Superman though. Yeah. So yeah, run. I can't pull that window up, or I'll get a bad connection. Why don't you run through the comments?
That's pretty much it. We were talking about the Mandarin, and actually Charles Rottheimer thought Mandarin was kind of like Bin Laden, seen up as a mega villain, and when they finally track him down, he's just a dude watching the television.
Yep, and that's exactly what Bin Laden was. Yep. Agreed. And that's the whole message there.
Oh, and
it's like they made him up or something.
Maybe. Ghostworld says, "Oh, so your last name is Snow then?"
Yes. Well, yeah. Was I born in the north? It depends on like I could be Rivers. Your bastard name. Mm-hmm. Yes. Actually, my birth name was Knight. So yeah, no.
So you're born in the dark, is that what it is?
I was born, yeah, that's right. I'm Batman. No. Okay. So we can go off to the news now. We got a little news. But yeah, so final words on Black Panther. Good movie. Go see it. You'll have fun. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to make the world a better place. It's not going to resolve race relations, unfortunately. But you know how you do that? You do that in your own life. Okay. Just be nice to everybody. Don't be a dick. Problem solved. Motto. Yep.
Okay. So we're going to start off here with the news that it came out that Zack Snyder was actually fired from Justice League. And just after he got fired, his daughter committed suicide. So what the WB did was they decided to say, okay, we're going to say that the real reason why you got fired or you're leaving Justice League movies because of your daughter's death. And we're not going to say it was because we fired you, to save face.
And from his point of view, he didn't get fired. He probably felt obligated to finish and also probably wanted to bury himself in his work. So who knows if he wanted to leave the job. A lot of people, when stuff like that happens, like, want to go to work, when my pop died, I wanted to go to work. I took a bereavement day and then I went back to work, so yeah. That's horrible. That is freaking horrible on so many levels. Okay. So my wife and I have a friend, I'm not going to name him, who works for Zack Snyder. Okay. So I know Zack Snyder gets a lot of crap for his movies. Some of it's deserved. Listen, I did the pre-mastering on Sucker Punch, and I have PTSD from that movie because I've seen it. I've seen the last 15 minutes of the Sucker Punch like 375 times. And when you say it, I get a twitch in my eye. No, yeah. But according to our friend, one of the nicest, coolest, most loyal people to work with in Hollywood, which is saying something because they're all a bunch of dicks. I mean, as far as directors go, like he's the kind of guy who hung out with the crew, didn't hang out with the stars or anything. He goes and hangs out with the crew. And amazingly loyal. Quick story. When he went to do Man of Steel, he was forced to not work with on Man of Steel, the crew that he had worked with for years and years. That had worked with him on every other movie up to that. And he had to work with Nolan's people. So he had to work with a bunch of people he'd never worked with. Some of them were very good. He had to work with Jonathan Nolan, who's, a talent. But Nolan, Nolan had a lot more control over Man of Steel than people think. Okay. Like he basically plotted out that movie. That's how, the Zack Snyder gets the crap for what Nolan pretty much dictated. Batman versus Superman, that was Snyder. Okay. And honestly, the director's cut, I don't hate, but, WB trying to save face on this. Now, Snyder agreed to this. Okay. But did he have a choice? Did he ever, he could have come out and then you have this entire studio that he's actually worked for almost exclusively for a decade, comes to you and like, yeah, we're going to fire you. And I'm not saying it's not totally deserved. Okay. But this is Hollywood in a nutshell. It's so not surprising that they used his daughter's suicide to save face. That's the disgusting part about this. And that's exactly what happened. And it's not surprising, but in the whole Me Too era of Hollywood, you would think, especially as preachy as they get, on their award shows and stuff like that, just keep that in mind when they're preaching at you. And you all know this, you're smart, that these people would freaking sell their grandma out for attention. Okay. So these are not the best people. These people are not the moral arbiter of our nation. And, just to entertain us. Okay. That's your job. And, trying to, that was just so dickish. Man, I don't like Warner Brothers because of this. And I've always heard that they were loyal to their people, but that's obviously just complete bullshit.
No, that's long gone, man. The old Warner Brothers from the 70s and the 80s were loyal to the people. The people that are in there now, no, they're nowhere near what they used to be. And Ghost World says, am I the only person who likes Sucker Punch? No, it's just you and Charles Ruttheimer.
Yeah.
He said he liked it too. So just you two people. And Apple Crow says, I watched Sucker Punch with my best friend and his little sister. We told her that the movie was pretty much exactly what it was like to be a 12-year-old boy.
That is, you know what? I see the movie in a whole new light now. That's hilarious. That is the best description I have ever heard of that. There are parts of it that were entertaining. It's just, I had to watch a lot of movies and the pre-mastering technician job was you watched the beginning, middle, and end. You had to watch them for a certain amount of minutes. And then you went off this checklist and then you finalized the DVD and burn it. And again, I've told this before, and screw confidentiality agreement. So when you burn a Blu-ray and a DVD, you burn it on like a Nero. You burn it on Nero. Software that they didn't own, by the way. They had to pirate it. They pirated their fucking Nero software to burn their professional DVDs that they're selling to the public. They're all, if it ever comes to an update, just go to Pirate Bay and get a fucking other copy. I'm like, what? You can't, you're Technicolor. But no, they were 5-year-old computers, and this was in 2011. So I burned Sucker Punch, the DVD and the Blu-ray, on a computer that was made in 2004, and crapped out all the time. And yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah, you just think there's. I did get to hold like the very first copy of Thor when Thor came from the studio, and you get there's reels, and then there's this big digital tape that it was on. So all your digital versions back then were just from tape. So that's probably the way they had so many artifacts and stuff like that. But it was a very interesting job. You learned a lot. And I had to every time I went to go pee, I got frisked. So there's metal detectors, and they patted you down because they're afraid you're going to steal, because I worked right next to the vault. So, I had access to all these movies and stuff. And the thing they never caught was I had one of those key thumb drives that you can get that looked like a key that was on your keychain. And I was walking around with that all the time, and I forgot I had it. And I could have popped in, taken Thor, walked out. God. But I didn't, because that would be dishonest. And it was a pretty good job. I had a lot of fun. Food was good.
David Schmeiden asked, how did you get that job? Or how does I get that job?
How do you get the pre-mastering technician? The pre-mastering technician was made up by Technicolor, and you basically are the final line of defense after they're done with QC for all Blu-rays and DVDs. I also helped create menus. That was kind of my side gig there, and that's what got me in the door. But to be honest with you, I took a class for 4 months at San Francisco State Extended University. It was called it was the digital video intensive. So it's basically 4 years of school. You take away all the theory, all the bullshit of talking, blah 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 blah, and they go, we're just going to show you shit, and that's it. And you go to school for 10 hours a day for 4 months, and you walk out of there a freaking pro. Like, the guys running it are really good, and it costs a lot of money. I'll just say a lot of money. It costs a lot of money. But yeah, and it got me a job. I got it. It did piss a couple people off there who like had degrees and crap. And I went to school for 4 months and I work for Technicolor. But my co-host John, he did the same thing, and he's still working in Hollywood based on that education. So yeah, definitely, if you're in San Francisco, check out the Digital Video Intensive. It's run by Craig Abaya. It is amazing. Another guy named Phil, I'm blanking on his last name now, taught me aesthetics, and it was the best aesthetics class I've ever been to. And that's the only one that kind of got in the theory, and it was amazing. It was these are guys who've worked in the industry, and Phil used to work on the Matlock show, so we'd always edit Matlock episodes for practice. So fun. Matlock, yeah. So yeah, I went to school for 4 months and got that job. How did I get the job itself? I knew somebody. That's you got to know somebody. But it was a job available, and a friend of mine said, hey, we need somebody, and it's a job that's exclusive to Technicolor, so you don't really need training. We just train you here. I'm like, okay. And like, you got to know how to edit. You got to know how to use Final Cut Pro, which I swear to God, I barely used. And yeah, got me in the door and had a lot of fun. But then I quit.
DJF Nice says, did you see the Batman Ninja trailer? Yes, I have, and I really want to see more of it.
Yay.
So I know you haven't seen it. It's actually animated Batman as a ninja, like set in feudal Japan. It's really freaking cool.
Is it like anime Batman, or is it just?
It's done in Japan. The original one was dubbed in Japanese. They finally dubbed it in English, so they have an English trailer out now too.
I will check it out after the podcast. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is really awesome. So back to our news here. We've got Brian Michael Bendis and Tim Miller are working on a Kitty Pryde standalone movie based on X-Men number 143. For those of you who don't know what X-Men number 143 is, that was a holiday issue where Kitty Pryde is by herself in the X-Mansion, and we have a kind of brood / alien. Basically, it's Alien. It's the first Alien movie, but set in the X-Men mansion with Kitty Pryde. That's pretty much what it is.
It's got that classic cover.
Yeah.
And it's got a great cover, and I do believe that's John Byrne, right? That was Byrne and Claremont.
Yes, that was Byrne and Claremont. You're correct.
Why? I just it sounds like more of Warner Brothers, like trying to make horror movies out of the superhero movies.
It's Fox. Yeah, Fox is just trying to make the X-Men into horror movies. I don't know why they're doing it.
They're really just throwing everything. I'm glad Tim Miller's back. I think he's a really good director. Deadpool, the first Deadpool is the shit, and if the second Deadpool is not as good, it'll be because of him not being there. I mean, I'm just saying, it probably will be as good, but I don't know. I don't know if you can Deadpool is almost perfect. Yeah, I like Kitty Pryde. I do. But I don't know. It just sounds really bland. I mean, even fighting the Brood. I mean, just make them alien. If you make them aliens, like, screw it. The Brood are aliens. They are the aliens. Yeah, then now we're talking. Kitty Pryde versus it. For one, they can't hurt her. Like, she's just gonna win. Her power is like probably the best power to have against the Brood and the aliens. So she could just phase her hand solid and rip their hearts out, and that's it. It's kind of over. So
acid for blood thing.
Unless she just phases all the time. You just have her face, keep her power on, unless she's like her powers are dampened. And I hate when they do that in superhero movies. It's like, we get a superhero movie, we're gonna cut Medusa's hair. You know, it's like, what?
Well, come on, we need to save on the budget.
Now I don't okay, you know what the truth of this is? Wonder Woman was successful, so we're like, hey guys, just think of an executive with a cigar going, hey, you know, which don't exist anymore, but hey guys, get a movie with one of them superhero dames in it. The Wonder Woman movie did good, so who we got? Do we own any dames? Kitty Pryde, let's make a movie. All right, let's go. You know, that's it. That's all it was. Now minus the guy with the cigar, you know, but that's it. That they just think that every female superhero will be as successful as Wonder Woman because she's female, because that's about how much they think about shit in Hollywood. So yeah, that's what got it made. And they're trying to keep the rights. And Bendis, why is Bendis working on this? I thought he went to DC exclusively.
He did go to DC. Remember, we talked about this. He's been trying to break into the movies for the longest time.
Well, I do remember. I remember all of our conversations. I'm asking the audience. It's an open-ended question, Dennis.
Okay.
Why is Brian Michael Bendis working for Fox when he signed an exclusive for DC? Well, I know the answer. Because when he signed on for DC, he signed on to go do movies. The problem is, a month after he signed on, Jeff Johns got demoted, which means Brian Michael Bendis got demoted. And because he did not go to DC to write comic books, that was part of the job, but he went there to go help with the movies. He got a taste of it, and he was part of that creative council that was basically Perlmutter's group to kind of fend off Kevin Feige. And apparently they became pretty adversarial, and he got sent packing back to comics. And this goes to also Kevin Feige has way more power over Marvel Comics proper than people think. And that's kind of pissed off Perlmutter too. But Perlmutter's been defanged by Iger a bit. Yeah. So, and they used a couple of bad comments by him against him, which was, like nobody wants to see a woman superhero movie. And I guess there was a Black Panther comment too, which I won't repeat, but yeah. So he did it to himself. So yeah, so Bendis is working for Marvel again. I don't know how he can do that.
I don't know if he's working for Marvel. I think he's just working for Fox, which I don't even know if this is going to be an actual Marvel movie or not.
Well, Kitty Pryde is a Marvel character. So it's a Marvel movie.
Well, I know.
It's because Fox is making it. It's still Marvel. They're still going to pop up that Marvel logo with the little comics thing. They still have say in it. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
that might be a complete bullshit story too. So
no, it's out there. So some of the comments that we have here is, by the way, Ghost World, I haven't seen Gotham by Gaslight at the moment. I'm planning on seeing it. I just haven't seen it as of yet.
Is it good?
I haven't seen it.
Did he say it was good or not? No, is asking him. I'm asking Ghost World.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't said.
What is Ghost World's comment? You got to read the comments. Remember, because people can't see him.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He asked me if I had seen it. That was all.
Okay, so read what he asked. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I did. Okay. He said, "Have you watched?"
No, you just opened up an answer. Okay.
And I said, "No, I haven't." Okay. So Dante S says, I just lost his comment that I was going to say. I know it's DC, which means it would be bad, but done well, a Hawkgirl movie would be awesome.
I think so.
Yeah, I do too.
Warner Brothers' biggest problem is they don't take their own characters seriously. They think they're a joke. And they've always thought that. And that's been the biggest difference between, the MCU and WB is like, they always try to do something. Oh, we need to ground Batman and we need to make Superman darker. It's like, why don't you just make effing Superman? The problem was Jeff Johns was kind of the right guy creatively. He just wasn't a strong enough personality. He's just too nice of a guy. So they need, oh my God, they need a Kevin Feige. You can't duplicate
Bruce
that.
Timm. They need Bruce Timm is what they really need to do.
Well, they have Bruce Timm, but that's another guy who doesn't have a super strong personality. You got to
No,
be
he doesn't want
creative.
to do. Yeah, I don't think he wants to
Yeah,
do movies.
well, that's okay. Then you don't have Bruce Timm. Okay, you need to have both. You need to, and it's asking a lot, but they do exist. You need to be creatively into the story, and you need to be a ball breaker of some kind or another. You know, that's why Joe Quesada, uh, minus a couple of mistakes, could have gone down as Marvel's greatest editor, except he made a couple of big mistakes. But you need a guy like that who creatively is a force and business wise is a force. And it's hard to find. A lot of creatives just aren't the kind of people who are going to boss people around, or be direct, you know, and have to play that game. But they got to find that. DC should be mopping Marvel up. Everybody knows this. They should be kicking their ass because they can make it all connect in some way. They have multiple universes. You can have two different Supermans going at once. It doesn't matter.
What they should have done, and we talked about this before, is Justice League should have actually started with the Ron Thongar War, bringing it to Earth the way they did it in the animated Justice League, which is the perfect setting for getting your Justice League characters together without having to bring in, Darkseid or any of that kind of stuff.
If you want to start with the Justice League, which was just dumb. No, you do a Batman movie, you do a Superman movie, you do a Wonder Woman movie, you do a Flash movie, and and then if you want to team a couple people up, I think it would do a Green Arrow, Green Lantern movie, like the comics, and just do one of each and make them competent. They don't have to, I think they bailed out way too early on this. They could have righted this ship completely. I think the cast is fine. Wonder Woman was a success. And then, it was WB that effed up Justice League. We can't judge Zack Snyder's movie because we didn't see it. We didn't see the end of it. And, these a-holes were judging their own test screenings, which is their internal marketing department, who maybe they're the dumbasses. Maybe their marketing department needs to be fired because none of them have good taste, or none of them could, pick anything out. People don't think about these. They hire professional marketing departments who are supposed to understand this, but they're, when marketing departments started, they were started by people who had good taste. And this was back in the 70s and 80s. People who knew movies, people who had a broad good taste, but could pick out talent, who knew how to trend scout. Now marketing departments are these corporate shells that are just made to be marketing departments, and they start calling movies merch or product, like, oh, we need to see the product, or calling, that's why I always hated when comics were called merch or product. I hated that. It's like, no, it's a comic book. It's a piece of freaking art. You do not call it, like, it's not a widget. Okay. So it just becomes super corporate and soulless, and you lose the art about it. So instead of, like, I don't know, DC used to gather up retailers and ask them questions all the time. Bob Wayne used to be a comic shop owner, and he was the comic retail liaison. And they would get the big wigs together, like Brian Hibbs and, some other guy, Rory from comics, why am I blanking on his name? What was the comic shop that was in Berkeley that was so big forever? I'm blanking on the name now.
Fantastic Comics?
No. I'll remember it later. Rory was like, he was actually the guy who was the comic shop guy was based on. And he was a great guy. He passed away a few years ago. Total freaking nerd, like a level 20 nerd. But he passed away. He was never in good health. But they would get those guys together and ask them questions, because individually I wouldn't talk to a comic retailer, but if you get a good set of them across the country and from different shops, they're the best people to talk to, because they're on the ground level. They talk to fans every day for not just short times, for hours. I did anyway. And you listen to the fan, you listen to your friends, your customers, and all of their tastes are different, but you get a pretty good idea of who likes what. And the biggest mistake the comic book movies have all made, even the MCU to some point, is trying to make a comic book movie that pleases all comic book fans, because there's no comic book fan that loves everything in comic books. It's segregated within the comic books. So you got to find a way to please the certain fan and make it, you want the general audience to like it too, the general
Just make a
public,
good
we call them,
movie.
the normies. Yeah, but there's a way to dissect that. And the thing is, if you know so little about the comic book world, then you're never going to succeed. And WB, for some reason, used to do that and doesn't anymore. And it's kind of been shocking because DC was the friendliest company to retailers, to fans for years. Like Marvel's, like before Disney, and Disney's continuing, it's horrible. They're aloof. They could give a F. They want to see comic stores end. They would love for things to be full on digital and just like not have to deal with Diamond anymore, not have to deal with whiny retailers anymore, because there's a lot of those too. But
Charles Rothheimer wants to know how Joe Quesada screwed things up.
One More Day. Spider-Man One More Day. That, I mean, like, you take away that, and his run was pretty flawless. But One More Day, that did a lot of damage. I don't think at the time, even at the time when it came out, I'm like, they're gonna bring it back. But apparently, he and some others at Marvel were really hot on like Peter not being with Mary Jane. They just thought that it cornered him story wise, and they wanted to be away with that. But the thing is, then you just have them divorce.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just have them divorce? And that way maybe they can get back together. And then you have Spider-Man divorced for a little while. You could have gotten so many more things, but yeah, wiping it out of existence, that was just the dumbest move ever. And, I was defending it at the time going, they're only get, like most things in comics, it'll last 6 months, but man, to this day.
Totally awesome.
So, and I think if he could have that one back, he would. I think he definitely would. And I think a lot of his pride got in the way, like, cause before that he was considered kind of a comic god and he could do no wrong. And after that, man, that's why he had to bail. He couldn't, people just would not let that go. They still won't let that go. I won't let that one go. Straczynski wanted his name taken off of it. Even though he did write it.
Wow.
So,
speaking of Marvel, we're going to continue on this little topic. It came out fairly recently when one of the guys that was involved in the whole Sony Marvel deal, Sony Spider-Man deal, I should say, he worked for Sony. And when he was brokering that deal with Ike Perlmutter, it was released that Perlmutter at the time actually said, hey, you know what? If you want, we can give you all the Marvel characters for $25 million. And he brought this back to the Sony board, and the Sony board's like, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, who wants those? Just make the deal for Spider-Man and get it done with. That's pretty much what the board said. So they almost got the entire realm of Marvel characters for $25 million, because this, you got to remember, Marvel was heading towards bankruptcy at the time.
They were just coming out of it.
Coming out of it. That's right.
Just so coming out of it. They needed capital.
Yeah. And no, actually, this is when they were still in it, because this is in the mid to late 90s when they were still making the deal.
No, they were out of it because they had just changed their stock.
Okay.
Marvel Entertainment. But I mean, no, they needed money. It was for the same reason. Don't worry. Yeah. It was for the same reason. They needed capital quick. And oh my God. And I know other people have talked about this, but I want names. And I guarantee you that everybody who made that decision is still working in Hollywood. They're probably at a higher position. People fail upward there. And in hindsight, it's 2020, but you think about it back then, and Iron Man and Captain America were nothing. When I bought my comic shop in 2002, late 2002, early 2003, when I was looking over the subscriber list and I was trying to figure out, what the numbers were and stuff, and my pull list that I purchased, I got the Goodwill and there was customers still there. So the pull list for Iron Man and Captain America were both 7 each. 7 people were saving Captain, and those were just completists. They were old guys and they were completists who just want, because they have all the Captain America and Iron Man ones. And yeah, it was no new readers. Every X book had like 100 subscribers. All Batman had 100, but yeah, Iron Man, Captain America, they were nothing. They were nothing. So, the movies did change that. Now it hasn't, it's helped those two individual characters, but it hasn't helped bring comics up at all, unfortunately.
No.
But yeah, that was a huge, wow. That's surprising and not surprising. But I want to know who did that. So I want to know where they're working now. Cause, that story comes out now. I bet you they woke up this morning going, oh shit, I'm not going into work today.
Somebody found out about that.
Yeah. Oh my God, those poor guys. Yeah. They still should have seen it. I mean, come on. What did they pay for Spider-Man?
It wasn't much. It was I think it was something like $5 million or $10 million. It wasn't that much. Yeah. Yeah. It was chump change.
4 to 5 billion. 4 to 5 billion. Yeah. They bought Marvel. 6 to 9 billion for Star Wars? Billion. And then
it was 4 billion for Star Wars.
It was 4 billion? Okay.
Yeah.
And Fox is going to be like $54 billion. Yeah, Disney could definitely buy a couple buildings in Oakland.
David Schmeiden says $8 million for Spider-Man.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You think about it now, it's like,
yeah,
my father-in-law could probably come up with that much money. Shit. Oh my God. Dude, that is crazy. That is crazy. Oh my God. That poor guy. I actually feel sorry for him or her, whoever that was. But that ties into this story that Comic Book Cast 2 Armin reported. He with the lovely voice, but very good information. That guy's, man, he's got a pipeline, man. He is faster than Twitter, than any news website. His stuff gets out there quicker than anything. And he puts a video out. I mean, yeah, they're short and they don't really say much, but sometimes he comes out with a gem, and this one's a gem. So I'm, give him, and I do subscribe to his channel, and it's pretty good. Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal in some meeting, when Kevin Feige asked for Spider-Man, apparently Amy Pascal chucked a sandwich at him, hit him square in the face. Like when she was in charge of Sony, apparently she was just this obnoxious, and what was it? A year later, they're in that press conference together. And now you understand that look on his face he had. He's like, I'm glad she doesn't have a sandwich in her hand or something. Yeah, like she looks like I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to personally attack, but there might be some meds involved in there. I'm just saying. No,
it's just people in Hollywood, man. That's how
they're all on drugs, except for Kevin Feige. He's not on drugs. He's the boss. Yeah, I thought that was funny how that tied in. And I could totally see that happening. And they got it anyway. And now it looks like Sony's going to have to sell Spider-Man back to Marvel. I think that's going to happen within a year. So for how much, I don't know. But, Kevin Feige did say a couple years ago that we are going to get all our characters back. So he's just backing up his word.
Yeah, Disney is just basically that's all they're on a quest for now, is to get those Marvel characters back.
Well, this is a good time to plug the podcast we're going to do. You want to do it Saturday or Sunday?
Well, let's
today's Saturday. Duh. See, I'm all Saturday. Let's do it tomorrow.
We can also do it Monday too, because we have President's Day as well.
That's my day off. I don't think I'm that busy. We could do it Monday. Let's do it Sunday during the day. So we're going to do, we'll do another news podcast where we chat with you guys and stuff, but we're going to really talk about this Disney versus Netflix thing. It's heating up big time. And Netflix is trying to undermine the Fox deal. And it's starting with Ryan Murphy.
Yeah. So Ryan Murphy, he's the guy who's done American Horror Story as well as other things for FX. And Fox. So he's leaving 21st Century Fox for a 5-year deal with Netflix that could be worth up to $300 million. That's big money right there. Just for
that's more than they paid. That's more than Spider-Man.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, okay, American Horror Story, decent show. I mean, I don't love it, and I haven't seen American Crime Story. And he did 911, that 911 show.
Yeah, exactly. He did the 911 show as well. Yeah. He's done a
apparently
lot of things for.
that's getting put to Fridays. Apparently, that's gonna get they're gonna bury that because they're pissed. That's the news. Um, dude, what's Joss Whedon worth?
Well, right now, nothing because of all those rumors and stuff, or not the
That's
rumors, but
true.
the stuff going on out there.
I don't know. I think that's kind of water under the bridge now. I
No,
honestly,
he's still laying low. That's why you haven't heard anything from him. He's waiting for
yeah,
it to
but I
die
mean, like,
over.
I'll ask the commenters. Do you guys like care that about the Joss Whedon stuff? Does anybody care? I mean, would you? Are you not going to watch his stuff, or I could be wrong on this one, but
No one
you know,
said anything as of yet because we probably
yeah.
have that delay going on. So,
Uh, Disney's file style
so
going with one.
what was that?
I'm sorry, my squeaky
Uh,
chair. I was mumbling.
Smiden says Joss is a stealth nuke waiting.
But he loves Joss. I think Joss is fine. I think if he sits, he's still directing Batgirl. So and I just throw that out as an example of a good show creator that's better than Ryan Murphy. So that Joss must be worth $1 billion then. If Ryan Murphy's worth $300 million, which if you equate it to sports like free agents, he just set the bar so high for like a mid-level creator. That's basically
Yeah.
what I'm saying. American Horror Story is not. He's not top tier. He's not Brian Fuller. I know Brian Fuller's like in.
No, just because you don't watch American Horror Story is huge, dude. It's very huge, and it's one of FX's like biggest producers right now. I mean, they pulled in Lady Gaga into one of these things for an entire season. So you don't
it's huge for FX cable, but there's not a lot of there's some channels that cover it, but not many. I mean, it's long in the tooth. In the first season, it was huge, but it gets like 1 million viewers, dude. It gets like 1.5 million viewers. That's not huge.
But
That's
no,
okay
they're getting DVD sales. They're getting downloads, things like that. That's what I'm talking about being huge. Is they're getting money off of this thing, like tons of money with not a lot of money going into it to produce it. So yeah, it's a bit bigger than that.
I'm gonna look at the ratings.
Okay.
I know. I thought the show was mediocre. To be honest,
I didn't like it either. It's not my cup of tea.
Very mediocre. So I don't think that guy's worth 300 million. I think there's way more. We'll save it for the podcast, but I think this is more of digging at Disney than really giving a shit about how much money they're gonna. It's a decent show, but it's like I feel the same way like for Supernatural. Like it's fun to watch, but I'm not gonna remember to watch it all the time.
There's people that are really into it.
Dude, there's people who are really into the 100 too. There are. My wife being one of them. She freaking loves that show.
I know.
Yeah. And there's people, there's brown coats out there. Okay. I considered being one till I went to one of their meetings and Melissa walked out.
Yeah, no. Actually, Mark Maginot says, "Who will hire Fuller anymore? He won't stay for more than half a season." Actually, Anne Rice will, because he's working on the Vampire Chronicles with her right now.
He'll. I honestly, I don't know how he's sitting in the same room with that. Well, though, I don't know. The girl who played Easter is a hardcore Christian, and Anne Rice is a hardcore Christian now. So I don't know how her and Brian Fuller are getting along. Yeah, she's born again.
No, she was born again, and then she fell off the wagon. Now she's not anymore.
Off the wagon.
Yeah, or whatever the way you lose religion is. However it is. Doug Johnson says, "I wrote my master thesis on American Horror Story and Walking Dead." There you go.
No, they're still getting they're pretty good numbers. 4 million, 3.5 million. It's pretty good for cable.
Yeah,
but that's not like 10 million viewers, dude. That's huge. Walking Dead is was awesome, and American Horror Story is pretty good. But yeah.
Viking Bitch, yes. Anne Rice became a born again Christian after her husband died. She kind of went like really full on disavowed her books and like the characters and all this stuff about the homophobic sex and all that. Basically, she just went off like the deep end. And that's why she started writing these really weird, like Christian books for a while there. and now she's back to saying, "Oh nope, I was mistaken," and she is trying to repump up her vampire books again by doing this Vampire Chronicle series.
Well, she saw Twilight, and I've read Anne Rice's books, and they're not terrible. They're not terrible. They're actually pretty good. And compared to Twilight, they're freaking classics. They're American literature classics compared to Twilight. So yeah, I even liked Interview with the Vampire with Brad Pitt. I liked that movie. I thought it was pretty good. So
and Christian Slater.
Yeah, Christian Slater.
He's in it.
And Tom Cruise, I think, is in it too.
You know what? Tom Cruise's Lestat was actually pretty damn good. I have to admit.
It was good. Yeah. Remember how much shit he got?
I know.
Oh my god. I thought it was okay. Yeah. So
yeah, she did go nuts, Viking bitch. Yeah, that just she for a couple of years there, she was just I think it was like about 10 years that she went born again, and that was it.
It was not so subtle, Ghost World, when I said Ghost World. The Walking Dead was good. Okay, it was a good show. It was a good show. I don't know if it is anymore. We'll see where it goes.
In what, 3 years?
I tried to dip in on this season, and it was pretty bad. I've caught up. Okay. So, and it's just gone the same way the comic book is, like I've been saying for years, that you can't go anywhere with this. Where are you going to go? Where's your ending? Except everybody dies, or you go to an island, or whatever. I mean, hopefully the show, but Kirkman's still involved with the show. I don't know. The show might be wrapping up pretty soon, kids, because AMC's pissing so many people off, and they do so many shenanigans in the background that they're killing their cash cow.
Well, they're in a class action lawsuit right now with all their Walking Dead producers. So yeah. And by the way, Ghost World, Christian Slater is on Mr. Robot, which you would know if you listen to our show on it, because he's one of the best things. Oh my God!
Do not talk to our customers like that. Our friends. I'm going to stab you in the eye. Mr. Robot is a fantastic show. Christian Slater is a great actor in a fantastic show. I'll go check out. We've got some free time in the next 2 weeks to watch some extra TV, because we're kind of showless right now. We're only doing Counterpart. So I'll go check out some other stuff, see if it's gotten good, if I like it.
Star Wars Rebels.
Never know.
I'm gonna say.
Oh my God. Yes, we know Star Wars Rebels. Yes, we know. The 20-minute cartoon for 12-year-olds. Yes, it's good, but it's a 20-minute cartoon for 12-year-olds. It's kind of hard to recap, okay? So hopefully we can recap like 3 episodes or something like that.
They're doing 2 episodes every night. Is what they're doing. 20
people will watch our video. So yeah, just kind of like Legends of Tomorrow. It's, you got to have stuff to talk about, and hopefully they end it like Clone Wars, because that last half season of Clone Wars was fucking epic. Okay, so if they end it like that, I'm down. I'm totally down. So
I'm sorry, DJ F Nice, I keep forgetting to mention he wants to know about Jubilee, what we think about a Jubilee movie, if anyone will ever get that one made.
That would be more exciting than a Kitty Pryde movie. As much I like Kitty Pryde a little more as a character as the comics, but I think visually Jubilee would be a better character in the movies. So there, and she has a little more spunk. I mean, Kitty Pryde has pretty good personality too. And if they get Ellen Page to play her again, I love her as Kitty Pryde. She's great. But Jubilee, they need to find, who would you have play Jubilee? I asked the comment section. Who would you have play Jubilee, Dennis?
Ooh, that's a good question. Wow. It depends. Are you going young Jubilee? Are you going older Jubilee?
Yeah, so we got to ask John Reed. I don't know many young actors' names anymore. I'm getting old. But John would know.
Yeah, he
somebody off of Riverdale or something like that.
I would have said what's her name from The Gifted, who's playing Blank right now.
Yeah, John's buddy, schoolmate. I would agree with that. She's pretty good.
She would have been a good Jubilee, but yeah, she was in Sucker Punch. Wow.
Somebody spunky and fun.
I'm gonna have to take a quick peek here
Love to get-
because I believe it would be someone from. I remember the show.
I lost you there, Dennis.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Am I back now?
You're back.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. A little dead air. Won't
that
kill
was
anybody.
just a little. My player started up there for a second there, and that's why I took up some of the bandwidth. It wasn't supposed to happen, but I hit the wrong button. So I believe there's a girl that was in Chuck, the TV show Chuck, that would actually.
Oh yeah.
She was actually the right amount of precociousness, I guess you could say. And I'm looking up her name right now as we speak.
I'm looking up the name that Doug put up. I trust Doug. Chloe Moretz, is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, Chloe Moretz is Hit Girl. Hit Girl from Kick-Ass.
Jubilee's Asian.
Yeah. I think you want to keep her as Asian.
Oh, yeah.
Julia Ling is her
Chloe
name.
Moretz would be a good Kitty Pryde, though. Maybe that's what Doug meant. That she would be a great Kitty Pryde.
So yeah, Julia Ling is her name.
Julia Ling. Let's take a look at Julia Ling.
And she was on Chuck. She's also been in Buffy. She was on Buffy way back when.
Yeah, how old is she though?
February 14th, 1983.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh wow. Yeah, look up Julia Ling. That's a good show. And as long as she can act, that's cool.
Oh, she can act. She was actually in she was trained by Jackie Chan. I remember she was on his stunt team for a little while.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would just want to see an X-Men movie where they wear their effing costumes and don't fight Sentinels or something. Just for Christ's sake, something different. Fight the Avengers. You know what? You can improve on which was kind of a pretty lackluster crossover in the comics. Do the Avengers versus X-Men. If you want to go all DCEU and start out with that. After Thanos opens up the multiverse or whatever, I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be interesting. The one from Suicide Squad. There you go.
But wasn't she also in like a couple of TV shows? No, she wasn't in the TV shows.
Well, I was thinking the one that played, the one that was in the Wolverine.
Which one? Marku or?
No, his the bodyguard one.
Okay, yeah, she was also in Arrow.
Played,
she played what's her name from Suicide Squad? Now I'm just blanking on the character's name. It was the same character that was in Suicide Squad that was in Arrow. Wow, man, tonight's just been a rough night for reminding.
No, it's called age, dude. You don't have enough
brain cells left.
No, I don't. Well, I burned a lot of mine in the 80s. Y'all know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Katana and
Katana, yes, thank you.
And trained by Batman in one DC universe. I don't know what the hell it is now, but yeah. I think that would be good. I was going to name this podcast tonight because I wasn't sure what else. Katana, thank you, Rubber Brain. And I'm probably going to name the next podcast. I was just going to name, it was going to be Black Panther review and Han Solo versus Captain Kirk in a fist fight because I didn't know what the hell to name this freaking. I'm like, I wonder who'd win. And it has to be like a New Hope Han Solo versus, like season 2. No. Season 2 of the original series, Shatner.
Shatner, hands down.
Yeah, I'd have to say so. Yeah. Kirk wins. That's what I'll crow. Yeah.
Just his toupee alone would take him down. Take down a little snot.
No, he'd do that behind the neck chop.
Oh yeah, the judo chop.
Judo chop. with that Star
Mark,
Trek music. Dun, 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 dun.
I use
I
that
want to see this fight.
whenever there's a really bad fight that comes on, like on TV or the movies. That's what goes through my head. Da, 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 da.
A podcast called Actually.
Uh,
Oh my
Mark
god.
Magino says, on the topic of Chuck, what do you guys think of the casting of Levi for Shazam?
I think Hollywood has been wanting Zach Levi to be something. I mean, I don't know if oh my god. No, I won't go there. It's too much of a layered joke that could get me in trouble. So people really like Zachary Levi and have been wanting him. Like he got wedged into a Thor movie, and he's just, I think he's okay. I think it's okay. I think that's gonna be a hard movie to pull off. I think that's gonna be a really hard movie to pull off.
I mean, I like that Mark Strong is coming back as another villain for DC, but Dr. Sylvania.
Schmieden says a podcast called Actually. Do we say actually a lot? Not as much as Dennis says you got to remember. Take a drink every time he says that. And I only notice that because I listen to all our podcasts afterwards to take notes.
Remember.
You got to remember. Like 5 times a podcast. Like, I fucking remember, okay?
But you got to remember.
What? I forgot.
That's what we're gonna call it. We're just gonna call it a podcast named
yeah no, the whole California talk now, which is yeah, no, that's how we start all our sentences now.
Yeah, no.
Whatever the fuck that means.
Smiden says the Star Trek fight music played backwards is the cartoon X-Men.
It also made me want to cut my wrist for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, no.
Back to
man. Is it getting late over there? It's not even late here. We can go for hours. This is our podcast that could go for an hour or 5, whatever.
Chad Stileski, who directed John Wick, is going to direct the Sandman Slim movie for Studio 8. Now, Sandman Slim, for those of you who don't know, Gary, is a series of books about a guy who is a magician, like really knows magic, like real magic, who gets set up and sent to hell. Not die, but sent to hell, like physically. And he's there for a good, 5 years, just being tortured and stuff. And he gains some powers and he makes his way back to Earth to track down the people that sent him to hell. And it's kind of plays like a detective novel, only with this guy who has come back from hell. It's actually really cool. It's a good story. And I'm actually kind of jazzed to see this come out as a live action movie and think that perfect director for this.
Sounds fun. Sounds fun. Yeah. The Dresden. Remember that Dresden? We've talked about it before. On the podcast. I love the Dresden Files. Is it better than that? Is it kind of like that, or?
It's better than that. It's actually much more brutal.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, see, I can't read everything,
Yeah.
Because busy. But yeah, I have this thing called a life, and I read way too many comic books to read them books with words. I gotta have pictures with my books. So
I think they have
I like
audio.
It's 7 a.m. there, Mark. Where are you, Mark? I forgot. Refresh my memory.
He's Norwegian, if I'm not mistaken. Norway,
Netherlands, or Germany?
Speaking of which, Bam got his package. I don't know if you saw the pictures.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he took pictures and posted it up on the podcast group.
That makes me happy. Was he happy?
Oh, he was happy. Oh yeah, you could tell.
That is so rad.
He posted 8 pictures up, so it's actually really cool.
Oh, Switzerland. Dope. I need to go there and visit you. Just for a little while. I'll watch you sleep. It's no big deal. No, I want to go.
He only stands there for a couple hours. That's all.
Yeah. Swaying back and forth, repeating your name.
Yeah. One of our final stories here is Stars and Altus have finally ended a dispute and have made a new multi-year deal. And this is actually really good for all of you guys that like Ash versus Evil Dead and live on the East Coast, because now it means you can actually watch Ash versus Evil Dead, which starts when, Gary?
It starts Saturday. If you're watching it on Amazon Prime, or Sunday. So it's Saturday, the 25th of February, or 26th, depending on when you're seeing it. We will be covering it. Sorry, folks, we're not going to wait for you on this one. We expect Ash versus Evil Dead to be seen at midnight.
Yep.
God, it would be really wrong of me to tell people where to torrent stuff. But because Ash actually needs the money, so try to pay for it wherever you can. But unless you're in a country that can't see it, then do what you got to do. Because we're going to be live on Saturday, February 25th, to talk about a show we've been. Oh, I cannot wait to talk about this show. It's kind of what this podcast was built on. This and Westworld kind of like made us want to start recapping TV shows. Yeah. And I cannot wait. So I'm stoked for New York, because New York can now see Counterpart. New York can hopefully see American Gods if we ever get a second season. And one of the best shows being produced on TV today, and the perfect way to continue a franchise, Ash vs. Evil Dead. Has anybody continued a franchise better? Like that far late, like 30 years later, bringing back your main star.
Years. It's almost 40 years,
almost
man.
40 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford likes to continually come back and just be a bad father and then die. Ash is going to come back and be a bad father, but fight Deadites. Okay. So
with his daughter.
Yeah. Hey, what is this? Hey, if your old job could use pirated torrents to burn, then it's okay for you to suggest. You're gosh damn right. Technicolor.
And for someone who asked earlier in the comments, I'm sorry I missed it. Yes, we will be doing Counterpart tomorrow night.
I saw that. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, we do Counterpart on Sundays now. It's taken the Star Trek Discovery time slot, and it's a cleansing of my palate a little bit.
Your brain?
And my brain palette. If you guys are not watching Counterpart, it is awesome. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Each show gets better. The twists and turns. It's Mr. Robot level with twists and turns. A lot less drugs. Yeah.
Pirate and torrents now give you herpes.
What if you already had them? They give you more herpes?
Only if you're lucky.
Well, that shit's like luggage. A couple of bad trips to Tijuana, and you know how it goes. Maybe you don't, and that's good. Pirating. Yeah, you know what? Pirating, whatever. I mean, if you buy the Blu-ray, you're right. If you buy the Blu-ray, it's all good. Especially when they don't give you a digital copy, which is just wrong at this point.
Yeah. I'm scrolling back a little bit. I know I missed a couple of things.
Charles Ruthheimer says, if you find the clip of Bruce Campbell talking about the making of Waterworld, watch it. We will. And we will react, because I want to hear about that. I have not heard of this clip. We could do an entire podcast on Bruce Campbell clips. I mean, he's that good.
I am scrolling back here. I'm looking at some of the comments here. So.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know why none of your geek friends, you know what? Your geek friends are going to be the ones like when you're on season 3, they're going to go, have you heard of this show called Counterpart? It's really awesome. And you go, yeah.
I've been watching that for a while.
I've been watching it, and you stroke your big hipster beard and eat your toast.
I was there when Counterpart started.
Viking Bitch says, Mark, you need better friends.
Definitely.
We're your friends, Mark, and we're better.
No
problem, Charles.
So you got some more stuff there, Gary? I know you got some stories, don't you?
I have stories. I can make some shit up if we don't. Okay, so Quentin Tarantino is making a Manson movie for Sony now. It was going to be a Harvey Weinstein movie, but yeah, Harvey Weinstein. Whoops. So it got moved over to Sony. Sony was going to drop $100 million on QT. Now, QT's made some money in the past, but he's also made some ginormous bombs. And I like some of his stuff. I worshipped the man after Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. After those two movies, I was like, Quentin Tarantino's greatest thing ever. Then Four Rooms came out, and a couple other things. I love Jackie Brown. God, I think I even saw Jackie Brown with my friend Doug, who's in the chat right now. So, but then he made some kind of turds, and then Kill Bill came out. Freaking loved Kill Bill Part 1 and just kind of like Kill Bill Part 2. But I don't know if he's like a big hit machine. Okay. He makes QT movies, and I know he's flirting with producing the Star Trek thing, which is out of morbid curiosity, but the Manson movie, for one, I don't know if that one actually needs to be made. Do we need to make that movie? I mean, it's horrible. It's freaking horrible what happened.
This is Quentin Tarantino's MO, is he's announced like 50 different projects, and he maybe does one.
That's true. Maybe. But let me follow through on this. So if Quentin Tarantino is going to do it to his style, then you're going to see the part where they rip the baby out of the pregnant, dead Sharon Tate's body. Yeah. Okay. I don't ever need to see that ever. I don't care. No one does. This was like, this all happened like 2 weeks before I was born. So I was even non-existent back then, but the glorification of Charles Manson, who was a psychopath. I understand why, maybe in 100 years you can make this movie. I still think it's too soon. How's that sound? And I know I'm relating this to his comments on Howard Stern many years ago about Roman Polanski and kind of justifying, his, what he did to a 13-year-old girl because he was, mourning his wife. And it's a terrible thing that happened to Roman Polanski. And I've even heard other YouTubers say that Roman Polanski, if she hadn't died, he wouldn't have been in a jacuzzi with a 13-year-old girl. I call bullshit on that one. Roman Polanski was always Roman Polanski. Okay. And he did that stuff before. He's done that stuff after. Not a big fan of the guy, obviously. Okay.
Not me either.
So, but I just don't know. So Sony's kind of backing off, but I don't think it's the subject matter of the movie at all. For one, I don't think this movie will make its money back. I don't care how good it is. I don't know how many people are going to run out on a Christmas day, because that's when he usually releases movies and does a Manson movie. And it's going to glorify Charles Manson, for one. Yeah. So I think they're backing off for other reasons. And there's been a lot of scuttlebutt with QT as much as, Harvey Weinstein. So.
Yeah, Charles Rottheimer also says that Polanski actually has a role in the movie as well. Remember, there's a part about him because he was involved in that whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was his wife.
Yeah. So that
and making him sympathetic.
Yeah. So no.
I mean, even though that was totally effed up, but it's just like, yeah, I don't think it's far. Yeah, I don't think that's something that needs to be made. I don't want to put restrictions on anybody. I'm all about free speech and making art and doing whatever and expression. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to go see it. It's not a movie I ever want to see. Either. No thanks.
And I think also with Uma Thurman's big reveal about forcing her into that car crash that happened, and the car crash in Kill Bill that injured her pretty badly. She really didn't want to do it, and then also him being the one to beat her in the scenes. He was the one that was flying, just all these kind of things. I don't think. I think that might be the reason why they're not going to be funding this.
Yeah, I think he might be off to an early retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all we can really say. There's a lot of conjecture around there. But the whole Me Too thing is not going to die down. Actually, there's a couple of guys who are popped up. There was the one who was the head of marketing at Universal, you said?
Yeah. He's actually been put on. There's actually two of them. One has been put on leave, and the other one that is stepping down is what's going on. So there are two different marketing execs here that this is happening to. And Here we go. So Josh
Uh,
Goldstein is on leave, and Seth Byers is out after inappropriate conduct, as they put it, in the marketing department.
See, I like what was it who just said that? Ghost World. I'm sorry, more Me Too going out, but I agree with Ghost World. I think Quentin Tarantino would do a really kick-ass Rasputin movie. Yeah, do that instead. I would watch that. That would be awesome. I want a good Rasputin's such an interesting character anyway. Or just bring him back in Hellboy. That's fine too. But I don't know. I don't want to see that stuff. I always liked him as a writer better. I think True Romance was a great movie.
Oh, True Romance is an awesome movie. Yeah, that Tony Scott.
Natural Born Killers. They mentioned that. I like that movie too.
Yeah. And From Dusk Till Dawn is
I love
awesome.
Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty good TV series that Robert Rodriguez did for the El Rey network. So
I'm gonna watch that. I'm sorry I didn't watch that. It was actually not bad. That movie, dude.
About season 3, that's when it starts going off the rails. Then it gets really just out there, and it's like, really, come on. But the first 2 seasons not bad. First season's really good. Second season, there.
Well, the whole pacing of the movie is like they made it this crime drama for like half the movie. Yeah, and then it just goes crazy gonzo horror movie. I thought that was brilliant. One of the few times I like George Clooney in a movie, that in Ocean's 11, but
yeah, Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 13.
Freaking Ocean's 11 is in my top 10 all-time movies. Love that fucking movie. I do have a love for Vegas, so that's probably why. But
for me, for Vegas, it is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the Terry Gilliam movie with
Terry Gilliam movie. Yeah, that's in my top 5.
Yeah,
Doug and I definitely saw that one in the theater together. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but
that was an awesome movie with Benicio del Toro as his lawyer.
God. As your counsel, I advise you to buy a bag of cocaine.
As your counsel, I would advise you to drink heavily.
Drink heavily. Seriously.
Speaking of... Did you ever have sex with that polar bear?
I don't know why that line, dude, when he asked how much for the monkey or the ape or whatever, I was laughing so fucking hard. I don't know why. Also, when they're on that carousel like bar,
circus, yeah,
trying to get off it, and it's going like 2 miles an hour. I've actually done that. We were on a carousel, and we were tripping on acid, and we couldn't get off it because it was going too fast. And then I finally, 10, 20 years later, see what I looked like when I was trying to get off the carousel. I was laughing so hard. One of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Vegas TV show? Which one? The one with the one from the 70s or the one with James Caan? The one with Robert Urich? Mm-hmm. Or that was Las Vegas. Sorry. Who knows who Robert Urich is?
I do.
No, you're old like me.
I know. The 70s one is what he says.
Vegas is an awesome city. Okay. It is an awesome city. There is a great nerd bar there. I'm going to plug it again. It's called the Millennium Fandom Bar.
I have been there.
And it's run by this French guy named Alex, who's a cool dude. And we're going to podcast there from someday. Yeah, you went there. Yeah, it's a fun place. He has little cosplay events, and I don't know how his drinks are because I didn't drink anything, but
it was okay.
Had a good time there. He was a nice guy. It's a good idea for a bar. What was that?
Parking's really horrible. Take a taxi if you're going to go over there.
I got a parking spot.
It took me a little while to get a parking spot.
You got to just go to a little it's a little sketchy part because it's east of the stratosphere. If you know Vegas, getting east of the stratosphere gets a little sketchy, but it's okay. We walked around. Oh, that's why. Yeah, we parked there once and we walked from our hotel, which was like a mile. But
man, a mile in Vegas is like 5 miles anyplace else.
We did it at night. We definitely did it at night.
Yeah. No, I'm still saying it's.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But that's why you go to White Castle. There's a White Castle there, which is like the only White Castle on the freaking West Coast.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. There's a White Castle there. It's good.
Okay.
Stoner food for non-stoners.
So who else was in our Me Too section there? We actually had
Oh, Michael
oh,
Fassbender. Say it ain't
yeah, Michael
so.
Fassbender. Yeah. Supposedly he had some restraining orders against him from a former girlfriend that he tried to kill. Supposedly, allegedly. Here. So we're going to see his name pop up again fairly soon, I think. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see some of his projects might go bye bye as a result. I don't know. We're just hearing the inklings of this right now. This happened as of Wednesday. I saw this. So here we are, Saturday, and not much else has kind of come up at the moment.
Do you think it's calm
So
for the storm, or do you think it might be bullshit? Or I mean,
it's the
like every
calm
time
before
I
the
hear
storm.
this, because it's a actor I like, of course I want it not to be true. But yeah, hmm, that's the thing. Like well, that's just freaking horrible to do that. How many years ago was it?
It was like 2008, 2009. This
It
is
was
just,
that's still
yeah, it
pretty
was a while
bad.
back.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I am not obviously a woman, so it's hard for me to say that's kind of a woman thing to judge. It's horrible. Um, you can forgive some people in their past. I mean, there might have been drugs and alcohol involved, and he might not have been himself, and it still doesn't make it okay. Don't get me wrong; it doesn't make it okay. But 10 years is a lot of time. Maybe he's done a lot of atonement. Maybe he's like, maybe that person is forgiven. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I don't know.
I think there's some new allegations that are coming up as well. That's the reason why these old allegations are starting to come to light. So that's why I think the reason why these are coming up. That's the inkling I was getting from the article that I read.
Well, I know the whole
So
Me Too thing has completely rocked Hollywood and made a cottage industry of there's now
yes,
advisory, there's these like marketing groups. There's now Me Too groups. They're not called that, but basically sexual harassment groups and legal. There's lawyers are making tons of. It's become an industry. They found a way to make money off this shit. So good and bad. And it's rocked Hollywood completely. That's why a lot of people have gone away, and we won't even notice. For a few years, you'll be just like, "Hey, where did so and so go?" Well, you'll know where they went off to retire because they didn't want to be a Me Too. What?
yeah. Jeffrey Tambor, as a matter of fact, got fired from uh, the show that he was on, the transgender show, because he was accused of sexually harassing two of the transgender women that were on that show.
Jeffrey
And
Tambor.
yeah, and so his character Mara
But
has been
what kind? Yeah, and then the show will be gone because he was the show. Okay, so this one I'm going to ask. I mean, Jeffrey Tambor has been in Hollywood for years. Okay,
Mhm.
for years, and this is the first time it comes up. Um, so it must have been pretty bad because he was pretty much your golden goose. Like the show's not going to last without him very long. So he must have either done it but what kind of sexual harassment? There is, I'm not even gonna say the word, but there's the bad things to do, and then there's, you know, smacking on a butt, and then there's just saying something. Okay, all different things. None of them are good, but they're all like way different levels of. Oh, so I don't know. Again, that's a guy
Yeah,
I
I
kind of
know.
like, so I want to like. I wish it
Yeah,
wasn't true, but I mean, like, dude, it got him off the show, so it must have been pretty bad. But
yeah. He said, I guess he spoke out about it after he got fired, that no one actually approached him to say what happened. He, what the accusations were against him, and so it was all just an internal investigation. And whenever the internal investigation found out, that's what they fired him for. So
yeah, you're right, Viking bitch. The Jeffrey Tambor story was extremely disappointing. And yeah, that's what I am too. Disappointed, but they're people and they were in this big clique for so long and it was safe. They were safe to do a lot of
yeah,
bad things. And then the internet happened and YouTube and Harvey Weinstein pushed things way too far. And I mean, God, we only heard the surface of what this guy pulled. I mean, the crap that he's probably gotten away with. I wouldn't be surprised if I've been saying this allegedly. Like doesn't he look like a mafia guy to you?
Who, Jeffrey Tambor?
Would you be no? I'm not talking about Jeffrey Tambor. Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, I could like. Would you be surprised if he iced somebody? I wouldn't. You know,
he just looks like a sleazy porn dealer. Is what he looks like to me.
Yeah, the kind of guy who would ice somebody.
I don't know.
Weinstein was out of his mind. Yeah, he was out of his mind. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying he did, but if I heard about it, I would go, yeah, that wouldn't shock me at all.
Good night, Ghost World.
Good night, Ghost World. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all. But he's gone. I heard he still thinks he can come back, which is funny.
I think he's getting sued now. I heard there's a whole bunch of civil suits coming up against him right now.
Yeah, he better be hiding that money in Switzerland, or is it Sweden? Sorry,
Switzerland. That is where Charles Rottheimer is at.
Who is it? Davis said he's right near a White Castle. You are? I'm so jealous. I know they're not good for you, but they taste insanely good for what they are.
See, I've never had.
Oh my God. I for one, they made a whole movie about it, right? So those of us on the West Coast, I know you know. I'm talking to you and the audience there, Dennis.
Well, you got to remember,
ladies and gentlemen, you got to remember that Dennis sometimes forgets he's on a fucking podcast. Okay,
it's been a little while. It's been a little
open and geez, do I need to explain it to you? So, as I was saying, we see this movie that's hilarious. It got promoted like crazy at Comic-Con. They put a White Castle at the middle of the Comic-Con floor, and everybody in San Diego is like, "What the fuck's a White Castle? Never heard of it," you know. So, and then Harold and Kumar comes out. So I'm like, oh, so we see one. Yeah, they've come in like frozen burgers that you can get in the store. I would never eat one of those. So we finally see one in Vegas. I'm like, oh, let's go right now. Run over there. And, you know, me and my wife packed down quite a bit actually. And they were so good. I cannot believe how good these things are. They should not be good. They don't look good. They don't really look great. They're just really, they're soggy and they're good. I don't know. I can understand why stoners like them. You know, I can channel my inner stoner from 1986.
I heard the fries are good too.
The fries are great. Yeah, it's unexplainably good.
This episode brought to you by.
You're in Chicago. I'm going to be in Chicago in July after Comic-Con. There's a wedding out there. Well, actually, we're going to be in Sheboygan, but then we're Wisconsin. Then we're going to Chicago.
Apple Crow. Yeah, we have a Whataburger. You know, Whataburger, of course, is from LA. So I'm down here in San Diego. And yes, we have a Whataburger. And I don't know. They're a little expensive for what they are, I think.
If you guys are ever out in LA, I think I mentioned it before. Check out a place called The Counter. Okay. It's a $35 burger, but it's good.
That's burgers.
It's good. It's huge and it tastes so good. And you build it yourself. And it's called The Counter. It's very LA and overpriced. White Castles are family. I was actually yesterday doing my work for my not so secret job. I had to go to one of the corporate buildings there, and they're right next door to In-N-Out's corporate building. And they have an In-N-Out restaurant right on the side for all the employees. It's very nice of them.
In-N-Out choice. Is family owned as well.
Yes, it is. And it's dope. It's good.
Does it come with toast, Gary?
Does it come with toast? You can
Apple Crow said
what?
He said toast would trigger Gary. It's what he said.
It just about did. I'm like, yeah, you're playing D&D and you're eating your toast. I'll throw it up on Facebook, Apple Crow. There's a fucking toast bar here in San Francisco, and it's on Divisadero, with all the hipsters. And it's a toast bar. They make toast and they charge you like $8 for it. I'm gonna go in there and eat. Maybe I'll do a video giving them shit. It's just toast. I don't hate toast.
Well, with avocado.
I
You get
like.
your
Well,
avocado
that's
toast.
actually pretty good. I love avocado. I'm a big fan. But I'm from San Diego, so
You don't
part
get
of our
avocado
diet
hand,
down
do
there.
you?
Avocado what?
Have you heard avocado hand? That's where
No.
people are they're cutting the avocados and they've been slicing into their hands. So the doctors have come up with a new term called avocado hand because it's been happening so often. I shit you not, it's a new
That must be
term.
a San Diego thing. That is definitely sounds like a San Diego
No,
problem right
it's
there.
San Francisco. It's a San Francisco problem because so many millennials have been eating avocado toast and they've been trying to make it themselves at home. And because they
Okay.
don't know how to cut an avocado, they've
Well,
been cutting
yeah.
into their
Also,
hands.
and also, their avocados suck up here because they're harder. And yeah, and you have Jesus, the avocado is good when it's soft. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's like cutting butter. Well, how are you
Yeah,
cutting yourself? So it
I
must
don't
be
know.
that they're cutting the hard ones. Ugh, it's not ripe. Go to Fallbrook, man. You want to get some good avocados? Fallbrook, California. That's where the best ones in the world are grown. Right there in San Diego. Yeah, sliders is the bomb. Yeah. So, is there any more like non? We're not foodies here. Sorry.
No,
We're talking
we're
about
just
murder.
talking all about food now at this point.
I
That's
know
all.
it's digressed. Do you want to talk about
Wait,
J.J.
Viking
Abrams
bitch
saying that?
says.
What?
Oh, go ahead. Viking bitch said I heard rumors that they're doing another season of Arrested Development though.
Yes, they are, and he is in it.
Sweet.
Who's got it now? Is it Netflix, right?
Yes,
Or
Netflix has
Amazon?
it.
Netflix or Amazon, one of
Netflix.
those two. They are doing that. I love Justin Bateman. He's good. I'm actually going to see that movie, Game Night. That looks kind
Yeah,
of
I want to see
funny.
it too. It looks
Yeah,
funny.
Melissa and I are going to go. That looks pretty dope. Do they have cutting boards on the West Coast? No.
Yeah.
They also don't know how to drive when it rains. We're kind of idiots out here, actually.
Waterfalls in the sky. They basically start sacrificing some
We're like,
animals.
what is it? I can't drive anymore.
As I put it yesterday, what was it? What I say? It was on Tuesday. It started to rain down here a little bit, and I'm like, oh great, the panicky villagers are going to come out.
Yep. Well, it's not like it rains anymore in San Francisco because it doesn't. So
No, I know.
it hasn't rained at all this year. So yeah, we okay. So J.J. Abrams, and this is paraphrased. Actually, the article was total clickbait, and I bit like a bass. It was J.J. Abrams, Star Wars haters are threatened by women. And he said, I think what he actually said was, you shouldn't be threatened by women or something. He didn't actually say that. But no, I think maybe, sure. I'm sure there's shit. I'm threatened by my wife. So yeah, I'm threatened by women. She scares the hell out of me.
It scares
But
me too. But
yeah, yeah. No, seriously. I think people hated Star Wars because it sucked. That's just what I'm saying. So, I mean, I'm not even talking about Force Awakens either. Like Force Awakens looks so much better now after I've seen The Last Jedi. I'm like, oh, Force Awakens not that bad. Because Last Jedi is terrible.
everything in context.
Yeah, in context, yeah. JJ, you better just do something you have never, ever, ever done before, according to your wife.
Like
It's
follow
finished.
through.
Follow through. Yeah. That was mean. I'm sorry. JJ's doing okay. He's made enough money. Did you see okay, so we saw Black Panther. I saw the Solo trailer again in a big screen, and
It looked horrible.
did we not talk about, was it before a podcast? He would be a better young Kurt Russell than Harrison Ford. I think they got him mixed up. His voice still isn't right for either, but he actually looks like Kurt Russell more than he does Harrison Ford, and that voice is just wrong in every way, shape, or form. It is wrong.
He just needs to go through puberty. That's all, and I think it
He needs to finish up.
firm right up. Yeah.
Once something drops, he'll be able to go ahead. Yeah, they just need to drop.
And Viking bitch, yes, they need to bring back Better Off Ted. That was an awesome show. One of my favorite episodes is the Jabberwocky episode, and I really want to use that presentation at some point in time that they have, where it's a presentation about nothing, yet it seems to sell something.
What happened to Better Off Ted?
It got canceled because no one watched it because it was way over people's heads. Honestly, I think it really was. Every time this guy does ABC, they started moving it around schedules too.
Network. Yeah, it probably needs a Netflix or something like that.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah.
Well, when it was running and it was still being made as a new show, that's when they needed Netflix. They don't need them now.
Yeah.
Well, they get some money from them now. What ABC does. Yeah, sometimes I really hate that when people say it, but sometimes it does really apply that a show is too smart for people or too ahead of its time. Like Police Squad. Police Squad's the best example of all time, and I don't even say that was smart, but the humor was so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Goddamn, Police Squad was so fucking funny. I cannot believe that show got canceled.
Yeah, the end of those shows, every time they'd freeze.
Dude, and then the monkey came through and started throwing the papers around and shit. God damn it. I need to watch that again. I would be crying. I was laughing so hard. And they canceled it. Yeah. Police Squad was the shit. It was so good. All they did with the movies was rehash the series.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, it's hard to think, you go back and you look at that, it's like, that's O.J. Simpson in that movie. Wow. He really did kill those two people.
Yeah. He did.
Allegedly.
No, there's no allegedly. He did it. No doubt about it. The juice. Oh my God.
Police Squad is better than Naked Gun.
It's better than the Naked Gun movies for sure. Top Secret's one of my favorite of all those. Police Squad was even better than Doug Johnson and I saw Airplane together, Airplane 2, the sequel together, Top Secret. We saw them all together. I love Top Secret is the one like later in life that I think is just so damn funny.
It's awesome.
Latrine.
My favorite is the I do not think he is Mel Torme. I don't know why, but every time I hear that line, it makes me die laughing every time I've heard it.
I got a cold. I just snorted in the microphone. That's disgusting. I'm sorry.
That is not Mel Torme.
That is not Mel Torme. Holy crap. I was watching that movie in the gym. I almost fell off the freaking machine. I was laughing so hard. Yes. Davis has Police Squad on VHS. You still have VHS? I still have my VHSs too. Yes, you need to revisit Top Secret immediately. It is held up so poorly. It's great. I mean, if that makes any sense. It's a movie they can never make.
Yeah, Val Kilmer is so awesome in that movie. I mean, that's one of his first roles that he did. And I remember seeing that in the theater because we went and saw that. I was 13 years old, I think, when that came out. No, 12 years old. And somehow or another, I talked my mom into taking me to that movie. She was pissed.
Dude.
She hated that movie.
She did?
Oh, yeah. I was laughing. And I remember at one point, remember when they turned, they go, it's like we're in some kind of bad movie. And they turn and look at the screen. And my mom almost got up and walked out at that point.
Dude, he should have been a bigger star than he was. Okay, because Real Genius is also one of the best 80s movies ever, right?
Oh, yeah.
I love the freaking Doors. He played Elvis in True Romance in his little role. He was great in Tombstone. Heat, of course. But one of my favorite movies, I'm like blanking on it right now. That's why I'm on The Salton Sea. The Salton Sea is my all-time favorite movie. Yeah. That is a great movie, and it's got one of the weirdest scenes ever. It's Vincent D'Onofrio as a tweaker missing his nose, so he's got a fake nose, and he replays the Kennedy assassination with remote control cars and chickens. It's the weirdest fucking movie. And so it's a guy who gets into the Southern California meth scene to pretty much figure out how his wife got killed, so it's kind of but he's a saxophone player with a big old tattoo on his back, and it's just bizarre movie that works in every way.
That was another Tony Scott movie, wasn't it?
No. God, that came out in 2002. It wasn't I guess that was a long time ago. No, it was directed by DJ Caruso.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
So,
That's amazing.
So, Disturbia Boy and Tin Man and G.I. Joe 3. Recently. He's going to be doing G.I. Joe 3 in fucking 2020. But
what just came out recently of his? What did it just say?
The last thing he's done, he might have written something, but he did the Return of Xander Cage at Triple
That's it.
X. Yeah.
That's what it was. I just saw that on Amazon, and my God, I could not watch that thing. It was so bad. Yeah, it was really, really
No,
bad.
Salton Sea is yeah, he hasn't been able to follow up, but man, that is a good movie. If you guys haven't seen Salton Sea, that's the shit.
Yeah, remember when
Tombstone's
Vincent
great.
D'Onofrio was in remember when Vincent D'Onofrio is interrogating Val Kilmer when he first meets him and sticks his I'm just gonna say genitals in a cage where on the other side is a rabid is a Wolverine or something like that.
Yes.
I still
Yeah,
have nightmares of that one to this day.
It's I remember when the movie came out, it did get a lot of love. I walked out of it just like, oh my God, it was insanely great, And I did, he was a good Batman and a bad surrounded by badness, but I think he was actually a pretty good Batman. But his Tombstone role was the best. What was that?
The car. It's the car, right? Chicks dig the car.
Chicks dig the car. He was in Coppola. Doug says he was in Coppola's last movie, Twixt. It was a putrid pile of digital green screen wankery. Oh, Doug, I miss you.
Yeah, Coppola, like I said, Coppola likes to do a lot of experimental movies in between his big movies, and that was probably one of them. Was he really does try and just do some weird stuff and try it out to see how things work. And honestly, he gets funding for it, and I think he does this almost like a test film for stuff that he wants to work on later, and then uses all those ideas, for stuff that he's working on.
That's what George should be doing right now. Just getting experimental, doing whatever the hell. You're a billionaire. Make whatever you want.
He said he was going to do that. He said he was going to make a lot of experimental films, and I haven't seen anything from him.
No, because you know what? Making movies is freaking hard. And he's a billionaire. He doesn't need to do any of that stuff. And maybe he does. You know what? I don't think he likes it that much. He obviously he doesn't, because he would have done it more.
Yeah.
He hasn't directed a lot of movies. So I think a lot of guys are good at stuff that they used to be passionate about. Then they get to the business part of it and they're just I saw that in comics all the time, completely turned off. So some will continue, but it's just a freaking job. Yeah. There's a lot of that in football too. Okay, I'm going to out Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer, football is not even his second favorite sport. You heard it here first. We know one of Melissa's cousins is good friends with him. Yeah. Football's like his third favorite sport. But that's where he makes the bucks. It's a job. So yeah. Doug said, I remember wanting to see Empire Strikes Back for like the 50th time, and we saw Airplane instead. Wasn't sorry. True.
Yeah.
And you know what? We went back for that 50th time, and there were still lines for Empire Strikes Back, by the way. Back in the 80s. Yeah. 84 was an epic year. Who said that? 85, Alpacro. 84 was a legendary year for movies. It was, the early 80s were amazing.
84, 85, 86. Those 3 years right there just had solid movies.
I'll say 80 through 85. 80 through 85. I liked early 80s a tad bit better, because we had Poltergeist in 82, Raiders of the Lost Ark in 81, Empire Strikes Back in 80. I know I'm forgetting like 50 movies. Temple of Doom came out in 84, and I wasn't super crazy about that when it came out. I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you. I've learned to like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes, 50th time. We actually went and saw movies. Like, we would go weekends in a row, because we had no VHS. Oh, well, some of us had VHS, like our rich friend Jeff Fassett. Doug and I did not have VHS because our dads were cheap.
Hey, I remember our first VHS movie that we bought was Raiders of the Lost Ark, and at the time, we spent $99 on that.
Yes, that is true story. They were $100 in 80s money.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were so expensive.
Yeah, that, and then you have to rewind it and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Doug. That's what Dennis just said. George has been promising that since the 80s. Star Trek in 82. Thank you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Star Trek 2 in 82. That movie, I would have to say that blew me away the most. I mean, we were looking forward to Khan coming back and stuff, but that was like, Star Trek has turned procedural, especially with the 90s and Next Generation, but Star Trek was an action show. People go, Star Trek's not action. Bullshit. Watch the original freaking series, man. I mean, there is a lot of talk around, but there's always like a fight or something.
It was a Western in space.
Yes.
Is what it was.
So Star Trek 2 was, especially, they needed to make something short and fun because the first movie was long and kind of boring. There's a lot of people standing around looking at shit. I still like it, but when Wrath of Khan came out, it was short, compact, and kick ass in every way. Such a good movie with a great soundtrack.
No, that was $99.99 when it came out on VHS first. I don't know where you got $39.99 from, because that was a deal back then. I remember we had ours on order, and because it was on order.
No, though, because Doug was probably working at the warehouse. No, you weren't. I was 81, so you were like 11 with me. Movies were $100. I know that, and I know they used to do that with the rentals. Like if you kept a rental or something like that, we'd bill you for it. I don't know if it was $100, but it's very expensive. But yeah, I don't know. I know one of the first ones that came at the low price. Maybe it was Raiders. I thought it was Star Trek 2, but no, maybe it was Raiders.
Doug says Star Trek 2 was the first VHS release.
Doug would know.
Doug,
Licorice Pizza, a place I used to work. Licorice Pizza.
Wow.
Old record store, man. Yeah, the good old days. Now you can just download shit, steal it.
It's free.
That's not free to somebody.
We also got Big Trouble in Little China in 85.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the Future in 84.
I owe the patrons our review of Big Trouble in Little China. I have been slowly working all week. I've been very, very busy at work. So I have tomorrow to finish up the editing. Don't expect much. I was gonna make it bells and whistles and stuff I just don't have time to do that. So you're gonna get it. I don't think I'm gonna charge the patrons though. I think I'm just gonna give it to you, and you can watch it. And then we're gonna make something a little more slick before we actually hit the charge button on you guys. But I'll give you some content. I got to give you something. So I feel bad. So sorry about that. But yes, it's coming tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be somewhat produced. And not completely raw, because I found the reason I did not ever put that podcast out because my connection and Dennis's connection sucked. So it was going to be like an audio only, but if I throw in some pictures and stuff, it'll make it a little better. So, but it's actually a good podcast. I was listening to it going, damn, I should have put this out. We need to do more of those. We definitely need to review, the Bubba Hotep and the Solomon Kane.
Yeah.
And Forbidden Zone by Richard Elfman. RoboCop was 87. That's right. The late 80s weren't bad either, man. You had RoboCop and Total Recall. Both
Die Hard in 88.
And oh man, good stuff. Arnold had such a good run back then.
Commando came out in 85, if I remember correct. Yeah, Terminator was 83.
84.
Commando was 84. That's right. And then Commando was right after in 85.
Yeah, he was doing a movie every year, wasn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
because he had Raw Deal was in there too. Everyone forgets about Raw Deal, which was a great little gangster flick that he did.
You got to remember. You got to remember.
You got to remember that one. I didn't say it. You said it that time. And Spaceballs. That was 88 as well, if I remember correctly.
Charles says, Gary, we don't care about production values. Just do it in one take. Well, if you're still here and you still subscribe to us, you obviously don't care about production values. And we appreciate that. Oh my God. The best blessing in the world was this stupid mistake I made with the live streaming. Did I tell you guys the story? We were live streaming for months before I realized there was a chat. There's people yelling at us, and we're like, what? And it was Brian Smart was the first one to get through to us going, dude, you got a chat. And I'm like, what? And then John's like, yeah, we got a live chat. I'm all, what's that? I'm an old guy trying to internet. Matlock, so yeah. So yeah, it was a happy accident, and then they roll over into a video. And Dennis and I have already been like podcasting for 3 years with 10 people listening to us, so we already knew how to like talk to each other. Got to remember. So yeah, production values be
Yeah, read
damned.
between the lines, man.
Production values be damned. All right, well, I'll pump it out. I'll the Patreon. I don't know if do I call them Patreons or patrons? Patrons. Yeah, I'm gonna put out some fun stuff for you.
The
I've also got
Patronus
a
familiar.
what's that?
The Patronus familiar. George Clooney from the Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Oh yeah. So yeah, so on the front of what we're going to give the patrons, there's also there's 2 videos from the Comic Outpost days that haven't seen the light of day, which was
Oh wow.
we had some stand-up comics come in and do, it was called Comics versus Comics. So it was a stand-up comedy live inside of a comic shop. I'll give you all of that, which is a couple hours, and it's actually funny. And it's like nerd. It's all they all tried to skew some of them didn't work. Some of them went back to their old routines because they tried to do only nerd jokes, and some of them just didn't work. But it's pretty damn funny. And then the interviews we did at the last year I owned the store Comic-Con, which was kind of a hot mess, but the interviews were great. So this guy, John Helk, we were trying to do a live show in 2013 from the Florida Comic-Con. We were a couple of years ahead of time. There wasn't anybody really there was YouTube live broadcasting, but it was really wonky, and you get no connection in Comic-Con. So it turned out being a big dud. But we just happened to interview like some really huge comic people. Doug will like this. Dave Gibbons, the artist of Watchmen, we interviewed. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Help me, Dennis. The guy who did all the Sandman covers. Oh my God, what's his name?
Not Neil Gaiman.
Not Neil Gaiman. Something with an M. Doug knows. The guy who did all the Sandman covers, he came in and did an interview. Yeah, just these huge people came in and did interviews with us. And John and I got all the interviews, and they sat in my salon chairs. And Dave Gibbons gives like his honest opinion on Before Watchmen, because that's what came out at the time. So we're going to give the patrons that. That's never seen the light of day, just because it was Dave McKean. Dave McKean. Thank you, Doug. So Dave McKean came to our booth, did a full interview, met the guy who's a great guy, Dave Gibbons, and then I'll leave some others out there for a surprise, but these are big freaking names. And we couldn't do any of it live, and it bombed, and it bummed me out so much. I never wanted to see the video again. I paid, I had to pay this, John, the interviewer, like a lot of money, and I paid him and didn't edit it and just like forgot about it because I was so effing pissed that it didn't work, and I kind of blew it. Yeah, but now I've found a good spot for it on Patreon. So I'm going to edit that up, clean it up, and I'll put a little commercial on our YouTube channel to give people a little tease, but that'll be for the patrons. It's really cool. Dave Gibbons stuff is awesome. So yeah, and it was so embarrassing to get pulled off, man.
I did do the banner. Yeah, I did do the.
Yeah, we did a banner with it looked like shit because it was like reflective. So everything just went wrong.
Right.
It just went. Everything went wrong.
I remember.
Everything went wrong with that, and it's like, there's a lot of reasons for it, but it's now I could look back on it now and just kind of laugh. It was kind of funny, but we still have the video and nobody's seen it. And I think it should be shown. So, because if it would have gotten pulled off, that would have been epic. I give myself an A for effort, but the execution, freaking F-. I sucked. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so
McKean. Yeah, Dave McKean.
McKean.
He was really nice. Yeah. He's really nice. Everybody was really nice. There's a couple of smarmy guys out there. Jeff Smith from Bone. He was another guy who was there. Yeah, Jeff freaking Smith from Bone. He came in. Yeah. We had some like comic Hall of Famers coming to my booth, and I got to meet him, and I was all fanboyed out. So that's why I got a professional interviewer, because I would have been all, your comic's awesome, right? Remember how awesome your comic was?
Hi.
Remember when you drew Bone? That was awesome. And Derek came by, Derek Robertson, of course.
Apple Crow came with a good idea. We should name this episode Matlock.
Matlock. Totally. It kind of ended that way. A bunch of old men crying about VHS. I'm gonna go break open my VHS box. I haven't seen that I've got the Star Wars ones with the like real cuts of the movie. Yeah.
I actually have that on DVD because it's the old Laserdisc versions that they put over to DVD.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
no,
cool.
I couldn't keep any more of my VHS stuff, man. It was just all deteriorating.
I think we should do a commentary too. I think that'd be fun. I know everybody does those, but I think that'd be fun. We got to get Doug Jay was supposed to join us, but we had our scheduling change screwed it up, so we couldn't have Jay on tonight. But we'll get Jay on next week. Our mutual friend Jay. Okay, we should end this thing. It's almost 11. Yeah,
I know.
People need to get to sleep. We're just babbling on. But wow, thanks for everybody for staying with us.
David Schmeiden says, you remember when? Another podcast.
Yes. I got to get better at clickbait. I call it like, Black Panther sucks or something like that. Or I don't know. I don't know. 2 white guys hate Black Panther. That'll get some views. Then we're all just kidding. And then, then we'll get like 1 million downvotes. But, hit the like button, please. That really helps. I always forget to mention that. But if you hit that like button, it really helps us. And if you subscribe, and I went this whole thing, I forgot to mention Super Chat, but you guys know Super Chat's there. And we got the Patreon thing, which you can all check out. Dennis has a Twitter. It's @DeForce, DAFORCE. Follow him on Twitter. He has nothing interesting to say, but it's always started out with, you got to remember.
And you got to remember.
My Twitter's @Nerdrotics. Check out our Facebook group. You got a lot of people signed up for that really quick. So our Facebook page is
a lot of people chatting.
Facebook.com/Nerdrotic podcast, and you can link the group through that. Please join. That's fun. We get interactive with it, and it's a lot of fun. And Dennis is doing a good job. He's our Facebook proprietor. John, if he ever wants to join us again on a podcast, which who knows, he's all busy doing other stuff. We're not important to him anymore. It's okay. We're not hurt at all. Is @JohnReed16. My wife, Melissa, who's awesome, is @Agent Bossy Boots. She will be joining us for some stuff here in the future. And I cannot stress enough that you cannot miss Ash. You need to watch Ash vs. Evil Dead. If you've never watched it, you have a week to binge it. Go right now. Start right this second. On Netflix. Go watch the best show on TV, and then catch us for our premiere recap on Saturday, a week from today. I'm so excited. At 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to do another one of these if you want to join us earlier in the day, so some of our other people who don't like stay up all night or live in other countries can join us. So it'll be tomorrow sometime in the afternoon, Pacific time, like 2 or 3, whatever. We'll tweet it out and you'll see it. Hopefully you get the notifications. So any final words there, Dennis?
You got to remember. Throw that out there.
Take a drink, everybody. Have a sip. Drink one on me. Night, everybody. And Doug and Davis and Charles, Apple Crow, K Sizzle, Ghost World, Viking Bitch. Did I say Apple Crow? I'm going to say Apple Crow twice.
Did. RoboBrain 10,000, Charles Heimer.
Even he comes in once in a while to troll us, but Obama didn't do nothing. What's up?
DF and Nice, who asked a couple questions as well. Doug Johnson.
Of course, Black Anonymous. I see you there. You're not so anonymous. RoboBrain 10,000, of course. Mm-hmm. The usuals. What a great crowd you guys are. So nice and funny and insightful.
And Dwayne.
I wish I was. But that's why we got you guys.
Dwayne Barrow.
And Dwayne. Thanks, Dwayne. So 3-4 hours later, we definitely like Black Panther. I liked it more than you did. I think it was a solid movie, and I'm going to go see it again. and we're going to talk to you guys Sunday. We'll also, Counterpart tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow,
7:30 p.m. You can actually watch it right now when we're done. It's up on Stars as we speak.
Yes,
and I think I'm going to do that right now. I think I'm going to go watch me some Counterpart. Everybody else, have a very good night. Dennis, take us out.
Children of Earth, please don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.